time, technically, so I'm going to hit Go Live.
We would only go festival. I want to play Goki.
I mean, I have an evil... I literally got to plat with a evil twin deck, so, like, I just take out my Zeus package from that and go. Hi, Internet. We're going. Sorry we started about a minute late. I was getting it all together at the last minute. Loth is still muted because he's eating breakfast.
I think I just play my Adagnister deck and remove 2 cards.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what my line on Live Twin would be. Live Twin has a Zeus package, because of course you do, which is Centauria, Downer, Zeus. You just pull those 3 cards out and put in whatever generic links you want.
To be fair, in my defense, the 2 non-link cards in the Adagnister deck are both Adagnister cards.
Makes sense.
So Wind Pegasus and I can't remember what the Xyz is called. Light Chimera?
Yeah.
Light Dragon or something?
No, it's not Dragon.
It's you don't actually. So you're saying you don't play Light Dragon?
Oh, is it Light Dragon? Oh,
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Yeah, Light Dragon's the Xyz, I think.
Yeah. No, it's Light Dragon and Wind Pegasus, and then everything else is links.
Let's flip screen so you can see yourselves chat.
Play the ritual because that's a dead card.
And if you're me and play weird shit, you play Firewall Dark Fluid Dragon. Because it's funny.
Yeah, we better say. Sounds funny. We are on Ultra. Yeah, we're on Ultra Low. Okay.
So
is my preview not live? Hello? No, something's going on. Okay, I can see your text message. Wow, Jesus Christ, YouTube. That's like super lagged.
I've been playing what I would like to call hard mode because I'm playing Fabled Dark World Danger.
Why?
Because it's funny.
I hope
you're no better than those people who just play True Draco every time. I hope you understand.
No, it's a full synchro deck. My end board is Mathmech Final Sugma usually.
Oh, okay. So you actually use the Fabled tuners to actually run your synchro.
Yeah, that's the Fable part of the deck is 3 Kerberos, 3 Raven.
Okay,
and,
fair enough.
The 2 Fable synchros.
Those are decent enough, I guess. All right, hi chat, by the way. Yeah, I've basically been I like booted up the other day, the new Master Duel event, and I'm just like I find myself exceedingly uncaring. Now, at TGS, you're just telling me no data. Hopefully that's not you're not getting any lag or anything. At TGS, apparently they had a new solo mode playable on the floor, and it was Vendred. Ooh. So I'm very excited for that. Because that sounds like it'll be fun.
Also, if everyone gets a Vendred card.
Honestly, the last couple of
no, not really. Axe, have you played any of the most recent solo modes? I think the last 6 don't actually give you archetype cards. Because apparently, if you've been paying attention to Dazif and MBT's Master Roulette series, and if you haven't, why not? It's an amazing series. Seriously, MBT is. If you've ever wanted to see MBT truly be goated with the sauce as he claims to be, watch that series.
I don't know how much series I could give credit to MBT on, and Dazif just needing a pair of fucking reading glasses.
No, it turns out it's actually, it's not that he can't read, it's that he can't read quickly.
Doug is not good at I assume it's because they're recording all of this shit live before their fucking Twitch chats, which is a god-awful way to record a series, but I feel like Doug doesn't want to take the time to practice anything. It's funny, and we get different matches, and some of the Master Duel Secret Packs are hilarious. Anyway, yes, today's episode will be Element Sabers and also the Elemental Lords, because otherwise we wouldn't have enough episode. We are not going to cram anything extra into the end because I am very tired today. We had a pest control guy come over today, and he showed up very early, so I had to get up 2 hours earlier than normal, so I am a little tired.
How many cards are on total?
It's about a dozen, I think. Yeah, I think it's 13 actually, because there's 6 attributes. And there's the extra Lapulia mana. And we will mention the text of Palace of the Elemental Lords because the deck doesn't work without it. But that art is really boring.
It's just a temple.
It's just a Arcabanon
But yeah, so we'll talk a little about Element Sabers. I figured we could draw a little. Also to buy time until Loth can eat, hopefully, so he can,
Noodles have been consumed.
Speak. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, the Master Duel with Vendread sounds really cool, so I hope they add that one in recently. But what I was going to say was about Master Roulette was, you may have noticed MBT has opined a couple of times that he can't play certain core cards because those are only in solo mode. So apparently the solo mode drop cards for certain archetypes are only in the solo modes and are not included in their secret packs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. So I'm actually kind of glad they stepped away from, like, hiding core archetype cards in solo mode, as fun as it is.
It's really weird.
I'd much prefer if they did
ones
cosmetics.
It is, too.
I was hoping more they would just give you free versions instead of like locking them, which I guess, yeah.
Yeah, but
this
they just
is Konami,
though.
They don't give you free stuff.
Well, they give you free cosmetics, which are cool sometimes. I wish they would do it more. But yeah, I'm not super excited about Synchro Xyz. So we'll continue to move on. I think I was saying still.
I'm having fun playing a deck no one understands. God,
That
the
is
amount of people that ash the danger activation in hand and then just go, why my ash no work?
Yeah, that's definitely a funny thing, is playing against decks that, speaking of people not reading, decks that people refuse to read. Like, I clowned on so many guys with Live Twin who were just like, oh, you have big monster, I destroy. And I'm just like, quick effect, tribute self, split into two. I draw a card and pop a card. And then, now that it's in my graveyard, I go, cool, banish. Send evil twins from my deck to my graveyard. Send one of your cards to the graveyard. Die.
Also, people just refuse to read Mathmech Final Sigma. It's so funny. I had someone Regeki and Lightning Storm my Final Sigma.
Like, half a meta.
Funny.
Yeah, that guy's like so important. But anyway, we're gonna talk about Element Sabers today. I do not expect this episode will be super interesting, but it may be fun, and we may have some stuff. Element Saber is a bit of an odd duck of a deck. It's never really had any major tops. It's percolated to some post-cut tournaments a couple of times in, like, 2018, but always very, very low scoring.
And honestly, a lot of it is on the back of Master Duel 4 than anything.
Probably. I assume so, because it was 2018. Also, when I was typing the hashtags for this, because YouTube will auto-search and fill those with other stuff people are using for SEO, I did see Element Saber Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links in the list, so I don't know if this deck has been popular in Duel Links. I know.
Yeah, this was I would argue this is one of, like, 2 ever Tier 0 Duel Links.
Ah, okay. Maybe that's why it's, like, in Master Duel, and I feel like... So, not only does it have its own solo mode in Master Duel, but also, I have opined before that Konami really likes to jam Element Saber into the Master Duel solo mode decks. Like, in anything remotely element-based, they will try and shoehorn this deck in. I still detest that
do you want to know
Plunder Patrol Element Saber deck.
Because it's really funny what broke Element Saber.
What broke Element Saber? Talk to me.
What card would you expect them to never add to Duel Links, especially not in 2019?
Oh, God. And I assume it has to be, like, attribute-themed. No, Foolish is pretty key. I could see them adding that and regretting it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really too sleepy to think like this.
Yeah, Alistair the Invoker plus the Invoked package.
Duh! Fuck, you're right. Yeah, that is another thing you may see actually run a lot in Element Sabers is Invoked, because this deck has no extra deck.
I think they did everything except for Mechaba. I mean, Cock is still banned. Like Cocytus. It's still banned.
But they put it in the game and then realized we've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah, it's one of 3 banned cards.
Like, there's multiple stages to cards being good in Duel Links. One of them is, this card is so good in Duel Links, we literally didn't add it.
Yeah. Or you can only get it through using a skill.
Yeah.
Like
speaking of which, by the way, I'm very
game.
interested in, I believe they announced at TGS Vrain's World for Duel Links.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if that will do anything. I mean, it'll do stuff, because the adding new skills always does stuff. But
do something finally.
We'll see what happens.
They haven't done anything since they... Actually, that's not true. Abyss Actors was a decent deck. Every other pen deck has done nothing.
But yeah, so Element Sabers are very interesting in their state. They are probably complete because Konami really likes doing attribute like spin decks. Obviously, we mentioned Invoked earlier, but there's like probably if I tried really hard and I wasn't a little brain fogged right now, I could probably name like a dozen archetypes that are just we have one guy from each attribute at least. So
6 Samurai originally, I
yeah,
think.
that's another good start one. So this goes way back, obviously. So Konami likes these kinds of things because they do an interesting interplay. We can say this, by the way. All of the actual element sabers have an effect that in the graveyard you can switch their attribute.
Oh, so, I don't know why I didn't think of it first. Adignister is another one.
Yes, Adignister is another interesting one. There's a lot like that. We probably shouldn't go down the list because it's a very long list. But
no,
yeah, so all of the element sabers have the ability to change their archetype in graveyard. This is an interesting bit of basically backported support because they are meant to be basically a main deck engine for the elemental lords, which were a piece of generic support for attributes that Konami was releasing years and years ahead of time. The first couple elemental lords were in like 2012.
And
I remember that.
Yeah.
They have had varying degrees of success.
Yes, I have put in my list the elemental lords later because, one, I think they're the more interesting artworks to look at, and two, they're going to be by far the more interesting cards to talk about, like in terms of effects and history. Because, as Dallas said, several of them have actually been quite good.
They have about, well, I wouldn't say 7. They have about a 33% success
yeah,
rate.
2.
Yeah, 2. It's 2. The answer's 2.
Yeah. I mean, like, the other 2 from the non-light and dark attributes did see play, but were not great. I don't actually know if anybody runs.
I think all of them have seen play in something.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody like for their light deck busts about Phosphorage or Umber Mirage.
I've seen Photon decks run Phosphorage. Because he's an 8 that summons himself.
Oh yeah, he's an 8. Okay, that makes sense. I can track that. Chad, if you know anybody who actually uses Umber Mirage, let me know.
I should consider that.
I mean, I use them in Duel Links, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, no, that's, like I said, the Duel Links thing is interesting, but yeah. So, Element Saber on its own...
except for one.
Element Saber on its own is kind of, like, very niche to the TCG, but like Dallas brought up, it was very good in Duel Links, and it's very easy to plop into other decks, and it is also interesting enough that Konami, it's one of those rare decks, not that rare, but still decently rare, that Konami actually, like, released an official deck list of this. It is exactly what you would expect. Like, it's, the Konami official deck lists are usually, like, the ratios are fucked.
Konami doesn't know how to
I'm looking at the spell, I'm looking at the spell list. It's 3 Palace, and then 1 Wild Monster, 1 Rhoda, 1 Reborn, 1 Scapegoat, 1 Foolish. I think all of those are because they are limit 1. But then it's 1 Pot of Avarice, 1 Terraforming? Was Terraforming limit 1 in January of 2018?
Yeah. No, it was limited in 2017.
Okay, yeah. So limit 1 Terraforming, 2 of Metaverse, by the way, in the trap section because of the effect. But they have 1 of Pot of Avarice and 1 of Salvage, which is just like, why? Also, there's no, like, hand traps or anything in the main deck monsters.
Yeah. I mean, this archetype has a giant glaring problem that makes it, in my opinion, awful. And I'll get into that when we talk about what I think we should talk about first, because it makes the deck work.
We're talking about the field spell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just talk about the field spell, because that defines your card effect, because, like I said, one of the key effects is for them to change their attribute. The other thing is, all Element Sabers have the ability to send a Element Saber from your hand to your graveyard to do an effect. Except, if you have their field spell... Here, I'll just pull up the text so we can switch up the visuals a little. Is that centered? Kinda. So, Palace, first of all monsters you control gain attack defense equal to the number of different attributes in graveyard times 200. This is okay. You know, it makes sense in their deck and can actually help because the Elemental Lords are, you know, special summon only boys, so they're big. Once per turn, you can add an Element Saber monster from your deck to your hand, but skip the battle phase of your next turn, even if this card leaves the field. Once per turn, if an Element Saber monster in your hand or field would send a card from the hand or graveyard to activate its effect, send one from your deck instead. So, that second effect, very good. Lets you basically foolish all your Element Sabers to duel your effects for free. Neat. Love it. That middle effect, letting you search, but at the cost of your battle phase.
Yeah. Which, I mean, on the one hand, it's not very impactful in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! The big problem with this field spell is it doesn't... Like, it is too fair, almost.
Yeah, I think Konami was... If you... Yeah,
like,
you said that...
Compare this field spell to Warrock Mountain.
A field spell that is ludicrous and is still, worth 60 cents.
Well, yeah, because the archetype... Like, Element Sabers would still be bad if they had a field spell of that caliber, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But they would be more functional.
True.
The fact that this is once per turn, at least the Foolish effect, really hurts this.
I am assuming, based on your commentary about the timing of terraforming being limited, Konami was probably like, man, damn, field spell's too good. Oh, Loth got a phone call. Field spells are too broken. We gotta, be fair. What can we do that'll, really make you have to think about using your broken field spell effect? Oh, we'll make it so that you have to skip your battle phase next turn. Which is my primary problem with playing these decks in Master Duel is just... You click, and then you're like, oh, right, I can't go to the battle phase because last turn I desperately needed one of these piece of shit Element Saber cards to get this thing going. Only now I'm trying to do something completely different, and I've used my battle phase up. Fuck.
See, Omega, theoretically, you're correct. Theoretically.
Yeah.
However, this is also the same set where a field spell called Trickstar Light Stage came out.
Yeah, but Light Stage is an anime card.
It's true.
Remember, Firewall Dragon.
That's very true.
Anime cards are not always bound by the same rules as normal card design. And also, Master Duel literally only just now semi-limited Light Stage.
Hey, Omega?
What's up?
Should you blow up the card a little bit so it's easier to read?
No, I read it out loud. I literally read the text.
Yeah. Regardless, this field spell is not...
Also, what is your resolution is your screen at? I can read this just fine.
No,
Look, a deck going negative
you're
one...
zoomed in on my... Anyway, good.
A deck going -1 to search monsters when they literally only have one inherent special in the entire deck is just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah. This is another thing that is brought up. So, as usual, the Wikipedia discusses the weaknesses of the Element Saber deck. Unfortunately, Element Saber has about 5, all of which are very common. It loses to board wipes and pops. It loses to summon negation because you, as Dallas just said, you don't have a lot of extra summons. And also, it's very bricky. You don't really have any way to get extra monsters out of your hand, especially if you're playing Elemental Lords. So you can absolutely clog yourself up with no real way to cycle cards naturally. Even Palace, while it lets you search to unbrick yourself, that means you are possibly missing out on a killing strike next turn because you may be going first and desperately need to do something right the fuck now.
Like,
tell me
I would consider Element Sabers, and this is no exaggeration to me, one of the worst archetypes of all time, insofar as considering its power level at the time it's released. Because, obviously, you can look at, Naturia or Ice Barrier or any of those, and now today they're laughable. But at a time, they have contributed good cards and done good things to things. No Element Saber card has ever been used. Ever.
Element Saber always feels to me. You can yell at me if I'm wrong about this, but I always take it as it feels like a 2011 to 2009 era archetype that got made years later.
No, I don't know about that. It feels a little too complex for that. It does kind of I think the way they built this deck was based around the the idea of the elemental lords, which did first start coming out in 2012. So I could see them being a little outdated because basically element sabers are meant to be the engine that drives these elemental lords who are way older.
I think the biggest problem is they didn't want to make it too easy to summon the elemental lords because some of the elemental lords are very powerful.
Stupid. They're good.
Yeah, their effects are really good. So
Yeah.
Honestly, if you just banned 2 of the elemental lords, you could have made them as easy to summon as possible, and it wouldn't have done anything still.
The main
But
thing
2
holding
of
back,
them
I'll say this,
are-
I think the main thing holding back the element sabers is, like Dallas said, they don't have any inherent specials, and they don't have their own...
Yeah.
Well, actually, the real thing holding them back is they have no fucking spell trap support at all.
They have no idea. No, they do. They have one, but it's
No.
sorcerer
But
that-
in context, Dallas, they have basically none. They have a field spell, and they have a single continuous trap. And
No.
it's been 4 years, and Konami has not tried at all to give them extra spell
It's
trap
a
support.
They have
It's a
no
problem
searcher, they
of
have no
ide-
negate, they have no...
No. They search right here. This says search at the
It's
cost
a
of your battle
problem
phase.
It's a problem of identity.
Also, they are all warriors, by the way, so you can
Element
road up
Saber
most of
has
them.
no turboing tools. Like, it has no extra deck.
Yeah.
It has no, control tools.
Actually,
It's
that's
not
an.
supposed to be a
I do want to
control
throw this
deck.
out there. I've realized. I think that's another thing. Speaking of too fair, this field spell is too fair. I think a lot of their design is also too fair because these guys are all warriors, which is a super highly represented, very good historically typing, and straight up, the Konami recommended deck list has 2 Isolde in it, right? Not that it's easy to get 2 element sabers on the field, but I feel like Konami was for once was looking at the tools that were coming out around these guys and were like, we gotta be
Let's
careful.
not push it too hard.
If we go too
this
crazy,
was also at a time where 2 of the strongest decks in the format were warrior decks.
yeah. So I
probably that,
feel like they've been held back, but the very glaring thing is the fact that it's been 4 years and Konami hasn't even tried to give these guys extra support, which is
No.
quite frankly weird because if you look at one-off common pack filler support for old archetypes, it happens a lot. It's weird. A lot of them are good,
I
but
feel like there could be an Element Saber Link 1.
It is one of
Honestly.
the 2 archetypes that is most conspicuous by its lack of support, which I would argue the other is Naturia, because that one is always weirding me out how...
I mean, it had waves of support previously in its initial...
yeah, but no
design.
modern support. After the
No,
Synchro era.
It didn't, actually. Because all of the monsters that are technically Naturia monsters are not counted as Naturia monsters because they're called something else.
No, it didn't. I
That's the
swear to
weird
God, some
part.
of those guys came out later. There is
No,
definitely
like
a
the
tuner.
synchros that you're thinking of, like Leo.
No,
they're
I'm not thinking of
it's called,
synchros, Dallas. I'm thinking of main deck
Oh, oh.
monsters.
I mean, yes, no, they were spattered around the 5Ds era, but after that,
Yes.
there hasn't been any.
Well, that's
as far as
what
I
I
know.
said. After the Synchro era, I don't think they've actually given them any support. Maybe there wasn't there one Naturia monster in Blazing Vortex or something last year?
There might have been.
It
There was
didn't
one of
fucking do
everything.
anything, but
There was one of everything in fucking Blazing
So,
Vortex.
true.
I've noticed an interesting thing. I think it's the armor is meant to look like the Elemental Lord, right?
Yes, I believe so. So I have pulled up the first of our monsters because we've been prevaricating for a while, and as I said, I'm
This
sleepy.
girl reminds me of a Tales of character. And not a bad way.
I
but,
have
in a-
I have organized them by level as a good way to
Okay.
keep them going. So this is
have-
Element Saber Ainu. By the way,
I have-
the names are all Hawaiian, I believe.
I think so. Or they're Polynesian,
They're Galapagos,
not
no,
necessarily
yeah.
Hawaiian.
Let's see. It says they are based on the Hawaiian language on the wiki, but I don't know enough about that language to know for sure. So Aina's translation is land.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know if they incorporated into the sabers, but all of the elemental lords are based off of a banned card, or was banned at the time.
Look at the...
Oh, okay. Well, apparently I Nostradamus that one.
2 new Naturia monsters in Darkwing Blast. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Oh.
Naturia Bamboo Shoot Tier 1. No.
Probably not, no.
No, I have one problem with this art.
What's up?
Something about her face and that gem is just, doing weird things with perspective.
I will say her eyes are a bit off, so yeah.
I mean, no, her eyes aren't really that off.
Well, no, it's the gem being there causes like my eyes to do weird things.
No, I think the gem is off center is the problem, because you notice that she doesn't have much, but she has a little anime girl nose, which is pointing that way. So her head's kind of on a tilt and kind of like doing an aside like face. The gem is dead center in her forehead. I feel like somebody was like, shit, she's not earthy enough. Quick, add some crystals, and it literally, I don't think it would fit on her face because it's not lined up with the way where her nose is pointing drawn. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a little weird.
And also, she's not holding that shield at all, right? Like,
no, she is. Like, you can't see her other arm at all. That reaches. Now, I think it does kind of look like it's far away from her.
It's a weird perspective, I guess, the way it's put, because it honestly looks like to me that it was like multiple different drawings, like
honestly, it looks like the shield fell on her and she's just holding it up.
And she's just kind of sad.
I don't really. Her face is like the least impressive part because I feel like her like outfit and her shield actually look pretty cool. So to me, it's like she just reminds me of like a Tales of character where it's like she'd be doing combos with her shield or something, or just have an awkward bit for like a minute.
I mean, she doesn't look strong enough to pick up the shield, let alone do a combo with it.
She is very small. I feel like we're going.
She doesn't
with
have
with
arms long enough to pick up the shield.
Yeah, that's the only question that I've got is just the perspective. Like, I feel like she's supposed to be like leaning aside to grab it, but then why did you draw her with such a giant shield? I don't. Yeah. I guess try to be more gracefully. Also, keep in mind this archetype is called Element Saber. It's also called that in Japanese because Element Saber. This is not a sword. It's got some slightly sword-like spikes, but it's not a saber.
I believe only 2 of them use swords.
I know, but you know, we're just talking about names. Japan, if you're going to appropriate my culture, you have to do it correctly. Shields are not sabers.
I mean, I think saber just means element weapon.
No, axe don't. No, it doesn't.
No, saber is not an XP for weapon.
It is an English word. Literally, they stole that word from English. They're using it wrong. They're appropriating our culture. But yeah, art design-wise, Aina just feels kind of like the artist ran out of ideas. Basically, we're like, shit, what do we do? The Earth one is level 2. They're small. A small girl with a big shield? Gap moe? No, it doesn't really work. It's just kind of... I feel just like the slightly awkward look on her face because the shield is big. I also feel that way about this art. So I mentioned it before. Aina is the level 2 one. She's a level 2 Earth Warrior. 900 attack, 1800 defense. You know, because you're going to set these cards in defense mode and sit, obviously. And her effect is, once per turn, send an Element Saber from your hand to the graveyard. Target an Element Saber monster except Aina, or an Elemental Lord which has been properly summoned in your graveyard, special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions.
Yeah. So I should get into that a little bit. All of the Element Saber or Elemental Lords have a theme that their Element Saber sort of reflects. Sort of. It gets a bit iffy in some of them, but
yeah.
Like for instance, Aina and Grand Soil are both based off of Monster Reborn, which was banned at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so and honestly, like, effect-wise, your Elemental Lords are pretty powerful. Being able to recover them from the graveyard, because they do have a only the special summon type effect normally. But as MBT, I think, is pointing out with some card text, ignoring summoning conditions doesn't work on cards that haven't been properly specialed.
Yeah.
So this, at least, the PCST clarifies. It's an okay effect. It's just on... You can kind of see the issues with Element Sabers, right? Like, oh, you've got, all these tools, these warriors, whatever. This is not a good body for this. I mean, I guess it's an okay body for this effect because you just summon it and then you just go into something big and win. But it's a weird card. I will say, now, technically, given the Palace's ability to Foolish, you can use this effect turn 1 if you get the field spell or if you've got an Element Saber in hand, because it says send, then target. So you can I believe that allows you to pitch for cost and then target it.
No, you can't pitch for cost because it needs to be a valid target.
Really? The order is you
Yeah.
can send, then target. That should work in that order.
I don't know, but because sometimes you need to have a valid target to activate an effect. So I don't know if that would rule it. What ruling that would be?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you have something in your grave already, but
It's
no, yeah.
weird.
If you have an Element Saber or Elemental Lord in your graveyard,
Yeah.
regardless if you choose the one from your deck, yeah, no, you definitely can. It would just be if you had an empty graveyard. I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Strictly speaking, the wording should be like that, but
Yu-Gi-Oh!
yeah.
reading the card only half explains the card.
So I'm frustrated with Yugipedia's inability to fucking autocomplete. There's literally no other card called Makani. You should be able to tell me, oh, you're looking for Element Saber Makani. Just because you don't type Element Saber at the front, because that's harder work, Internet. What if I don't want to type Element Saber?
What if that word I hate killed my mother? That was lucky.
I've got nothing much to add. We've got this crystal gem looking motherfucker with a shield. That's about it.
Yep. Well, then let's move on to the next one. The other level 2. Makani?
Sorry, I was looking at a list of attribute only archetypes and like 6 attribute archetypes, and one came up that I was like, oh yeah, that is one. That's weird. Alien has 6 attributes.
Oh,
I've never thought
interesting.
about that.
I don't know if they did that deliberately.
Hold on. Is that part of their hair or is that tied on? I can't tell.
I don't know. Also,
Oh,
yes,
Windra-
Marth has brought up a good point in chat. I think it was Marth anyway. I'm sleepy. Yes. I don't know why. I guess it's because both X Saber and Element Saber are called archetypes, and they technically both have Saber in their name, and they have cards that search them. But
well, no.
I don't. If there's an
that's
overlap,
specifically-
then the wiki should fucking say what the overlap
Well,
is.
There isn't an overlap, and that's specifically why all the Element Sabers are called have no space in the name Element Saber.
Yeah.
So X Saber cards won't work with them.
Well, no, also no, that's not actually how that works. It doesn't matter. They don't need a space.
Saber. It doesn't search for Saber card.
Well, no, there is one that searches for Saber cards.
Oh, okay. So that's why
There's
there is
also
that overlap.
Yeah, there's XX Sabers, so they couldn't just.
Right.
It's annoying.
Well, no. Dallas, you should know this. You don't have to do anything if you just say XX Saber and X Saber would both be searched if you said an X Saber monster in quotes. Because those are
True,
both
man.
But
X Saber
also
monsters.
Omega.
But also,
remember, these cards were
somebody,
done in
we will no
2007.
longer discuss this subject until somebody names that card that searches something called Saber. If you cannot name it, we'll shut the fuck up. They're wrong. But
I like this.
it's such a weird one. But yes,
Is it like a young boy or a young girl?
I
can't tell.
I think it's a girl.
I would say probably it's a boy. He's got,
Yeah, the shorts.
thicker eyebrows. It's wearing pants. But it is hard to tell. Loth was
weird,
asking
like-
about the hair. I would guess it is probably tied on because there is a ribbon right there, but that is still, like, the dumbest hair accessory ever.
Well,
It is
I
gonna
mean,
represent,
I
like,
think
the
it's
weird plant
part
look,
of the
yeah.
hair because, do you want to do the really bad pun now? Because the Wind Elemental Lord is
Yeah,
Wind,
it's Wind
Rose.
Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So.
I
it
mean,
has
I
a
know that's
funny
why there's
theme.
petals, but, like, it could still just be an accessory. I don't know.
That's true, it could be.
like the
Makani, by the
artwork.
way, means wind.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think this design is better than Aina. We've got the greens, we've got the little touches of red because again, it was Windrose. Kind of got a purpley effect here.
Still-
This is should be called a saber because it is a single-edged blade.
It's like a. serrated
Also,
machete.
Omega, to clarify, it is X Saber Palomero.
So Palmoros just says Saber monster?
Yeah, when another Saber monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, pay 500 special.
So that should technically work with Element Saber because they contain the word Saber. I don't actually think capitalization works.
Oh, so does non-synchro Gotems. Basically, all of the useless, non-playable X-Sabers say Saber, which is really funny.
So technically, those would actually connect to Element Saber as well as X Saber because grammar.
Yeah.
And again, that's not even like the TCG's fault. Like the OCG was like X Saber, Elemento Saber. This will never come up. We will never use the phrase Saber again. And then, you know, FG is just over here being like, no, you will. Fate says you're going to milk this to the ground. We like Sabers here. But yeah, so Makani, I think, has a much better design.
No, I really like her art. Or his art.
Yeah.
What? Their art.
Thems.
They
Gremlin.
definitely remind me of like a kind of like trickster, like Fae kind of design.
Like honestly, and it may just be because that trailer was last week, but like this gives me certain, not every Fire Emblem game, but certain Fire Emblem game vibes, right?
But there was a Fire Emblem trailer last week?
Yeah. Dallas, were you under a fucking rock? Yeah, N-Gage got announced. It has a trailer. Pepsi-chan is real.
I was under the rock called School.
Fire
Slightly
Emblem and
melted.
God.
How did you? Well, okay. When you hide under a rock, you really hide under a rock. We were yelling about it a lot in Discord.
It's usually on fire too.
But if it's been more than a day, Discord will have switched to yelling about XP3 again. But anyway, yes, there was a Fire Emblem Engage trailer. You should go look it up. We have Fire Emblem stands, Dallas.
It's dumb as it sounds.
I don't know if it's actually that
dumb.
dumb.
For dumb games.
It's just kind of weird. They seem to be going a very different route with the art style and design philosophy.
But anyway, I couldn't place for Fire Emblem, but yeah, this honestly does feel like I have this. It was like the Tales of thing of being like this feels like a anime RPG not protagonist but party member design to me.
I have never ever played a Tales game, so I wouldn't make that reference.
This is definitely the trickster deity.
Yeah, no.
I feel like I vicariously played those games because of how many times they've been mentioned.
But yeah, like you know, like Dal said, trickster or something. You know, we've got some wiggle room in there.
This also feels like a weird Fire Emblem Heroes alt of a character for some reason to me now.
I mean, that's definitely like because Heroes has a lot of different artists. You can definitely see like flexible art style. That's why I said like some games, not others. But anyway, we're
but this
prevaricating.
Is definitely the like trickster of the group.
Yeah, they're sassy. So Makani is another level 2. They are a Wind Warrior. They have 1300 attack, 1200 defense. So basically, their stats are useless. Once per turn, you can send to add one from your deck to hand. So an Element Saber or an Elemental Lord, except Makani. Now, this would normally be a really good effect. This is your in-archetype searcher, and ostensibly, if you have your field spell up so you can once per turn bin to graveyard, you want that. I mean, like, you want graveyard setup.
Like, I joked earlier about saying it's like, oh, they're awful, but, like, so far, these two have, like,
they have appropriate effects. It does remind me a little bit of what Axe was saying earlier. The problem is that these effects are, even by 2018 standards, so slow, right? Because you have to have either your field spell in hand or you have to have another Element Saber monster in hand, and then that only puts one guy in your graveyard, and you can't really do anything with that. Like, you need... Like, if you use Makani to search an Elemental Lord, you need 4 other guys in your graveyard besides the one you pitched for that search to actually summon it, right?
No. The big problem with Element Sabers is, I think, is twofold. Is like, one, they don't do anything when they hit a graveyard.
Yeah.
And
they
two,
don't float.
They have no special summons in the deck except one that's a -2.
Also, by the way, it is also noted that anything that does graveyard hate absolutely clusterfuckles these guys. Necro, Macro, DeFi, anything that, like, fucks with the graveyard, they die.
Yeah. To be fair, that's a lot of decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Though.
True, but, like, that's just another thing to bring up, like...
arguably the second powerful deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now.
Like, the thing is that, though, that this is yet another thing that, like, that absolutely cripples the deck. Your opponent flips Macro, you fold. unless you
By
brought
the
your
way,
spell
if you
trap
play
pop.
Master Duel, I would suggest investing in dimensional shifters for reasons.
Yeah, get your shifters now. Especially because they are OCG based. Wasn't shifter limit 1 or banned or something in the OCG recently?
Oh God, was it?
I
fucking
think so.
hate when they ban traps.
Well, remember that the
hand traps,
OCG is
rather.
also like aggressively doing bad things to Sprite. And
Yeah,
actually
but
did
I just
tier last
don't-
ban list, I think, too.
I don't like when they ban things like Called by the Grave, stuff like that.
But Dallas, you have threatened to ban Call by the Grave.
Yeah, but that's because I don't want to actually ban in the real format.
Yeah, but it's a card that can be frustrating to play against because of raisins. It's good as a...
No, Omega, you're high. Shifters are still at 3.
Okay, all right. I thought that there was a talk about a shifter move around, but maybe it was somebody like theory crafting the TCG
no,
ban list.
never mind. I'm sorry. It's semi-limited because
Okay, they moved it to 2.
OCG.
Right. I mean, that makes it slightly less likely to see, but the OCG
When
is
did
just a
Shifter come
bundle of
out?
2-ofs instead of bundle of 1-ofs.
Oh, they also semi-limited Lightning Storm because that's a great idea.
Yeah, that I don't know what they're doing. I think they no, it was Master Duel semi-limited Regeki. What did you say, Axe?
When did Shifter come out?
Shifter
like
was that the same
2020,
tins
I
as
think.
Nib?
No, I think it's... Or I think it might be. It's
came
either
in the
that or
news
the
right
next
now.
year's.
I mean,
Shifter's
Shifter
very
is
good.
in Master Duel for sure.
Oh, God, yeah. No, it's definitely a Master Duel.
It is a card that absolutely is a way to macro on your opponent's turn and will absolutely turn off whole decks. And I will say that's personally why I think like Shifter is like a card that is valid to fuck with and people to pick, because it's not a fun experience for the other guy to just be like, Shifter, hey, all your cards that say they have to go to the graveyard for anything, I don't care what they are, I don't care what they do, I don't care if they're important or can fuck with me at all, you just can't do them. And that sucks. Like,
Yeah, but when a deck like Tier exists, I don't want that.
I mean, there's other ways you can futz with Tier. Also, hey, you know what? It's called, you know what they also did, Dallas? They just hit Tier. I think they put the field spell to 1 in that same ban list. Anyway, I have pulled up, by the way, Element Saber Malo. Malo, by the way, has, I think, the lamest translation of his name. His name just means dry.
Meh.
Element Saber Dry. Which is a terrible shame because I think, honestly, he's the coolest one so far. Now, admittedly,
does.
he's got what I
this
think is
just
a giant...
Dynasty Warriors
Yeah,
character, right?
I
He
think
does,
he's
yeah.
just got a giant lava axe, not a sword, but, like, that's still
Yeah.
pretty metal, so I'll give him a
Omega,
pass.
I'll be real. None of the base 4 element ones have swords.
No, that's not true.
Like,
Makani
I
had a saber.
That's a dagger. That's a
No,
dagger.
that's at least a short sword. That was half as
At
long as
least-
that kid's
At
body.
least it's a rated short sword.
As sabers aren't
No,
that long,
I think
actually.
that is just a very tiny person.
Also, like, probably like a 14-year-old boy.
It's still like half as big as his body. That's
So, the
Anyway,
weird thing
Malo.
was, like, is he not wearing a shirt, or is it more just wearing a skin-tight shirt?
Oh no, yeah,
Under his
he's definitely wearing a shirt on his body. His arm is not shirted, but like he has a very thin shirt on his torso that's like sweat through or something,
I
which
will
is
say,
very
I
ironic
really
because he's
like-
dry.
I really like his metal plates. Like, the metal plating on all of his stuff looks really cool. That design's nice. His clothing's
Yeah.
kind of okay. I like his tattoo. His face, like Barb said, he has a very punchable face.
Yeah, this is definitely like your talking about
He's
like
your Lancer?
JRPG tropes. Yeah, he's your asshole Lancer who's like a huge douche to you through 2/3 of the game, and then like you have that moment of like, dude, why are you such a bitch? And he's like, I don't know, my backstory. Never mind, I'm over it. I'm gonna be cool now.
That or he's the fun asshole. It just depends on what anime tropes they're going for.
True.
Yeah.
He is attacking somebody with his lava axe right now.
He might also just be a Blood Knight.
But yeah,
No, he's not nearly edgy enough. He doesn't have Linkin Park lyrics painted on the back wall.
he does have a couple of extra edges, but no, this is a very decent design as well. I like the extra detail. Again, I don't know why he's got like a sweat through white shirt because his name means dry, but like it's a cool art detail. Like they put some extra circumstance on that. He's got some little extra fire stuff. So this is a decent You know, he's doing stuff. There's a background. We're going places.
This man with his sweaty wife beater.
Is there like a chain on like his shoulder, like the back of
believe
his?
that's like
Yeah, a
you
lot
guys
of them
call
have
singlets.
chains actually. Aina had a chain to her crystal on her back.
He's wearing a singlet or wife beater. No, we call them wife beaters too. Don't worry.
No, I'm saying you guys call them wife beaters. We call them singlets.
Oh.
There's also
okay.
the thing of, I think his like chins are wrapped. But, like
Now I'm just imagining him with a southern accent.
I think his chin's fine.
I'm gonna get
He's
you.
wearing a little like, I think they go, yeah, they're over his ears. So he's wearing like ear guards for some reason. They make his face look
so
pointier, I
jealous.
guess.
A typical
Yeah.
English dub Osakan accent.
Yeah, basically.
So Malo is a fire warrior. He has 1700 attack and 200 defense. Somehow Konami managed to get that correct.
rekindling. Not really helpful though.
Not super helpful, but it's
Not
a
like-
decent way
not
to
like
like
direct, yeah.
make his stat spread work at 3 and also work with fire. Once per turn, you can pitch an element saber to send one from your deck to the graveyard. So he is himself an extra foolish. Again, that's okay. That's honestly kind of good, given that they like need a lot of graveyard setup to start throwing out those elemental lords. It's still a little slow. Like, I mean, was Soul Charge still legal?
Yes.
Okay, so like I could see you like
Remember, I encourage you to watch the MBT videos on how long cards got banned, and him just reacting like, Soul Charge got banned in 2019.
right. Yes, I remember that now. Yeah, no. But yeah, like
What?
you
Seriously?
could do graveyard setups to like soul charge these guys out and then proc their effects, but it seems like it's a lot of work. Like honestly, this is one of those rare occasions where like if you're trying to make this deck work, maybe play double summon. Like if you want to actually
Oh
do
no.
shit, because
The-
that
the
that
Mark
lets you
Copium.
throw some more guys
Yeah,
out there.
no.
Well, I mean that's the
Actually,
thing,
what-
right? Like you mentioned this earlier,
the
they need probably
Copium.
like a link one that like has the effect of like special an element saber, like send an element saber from your hand to graveyard, special an element saber from your hand to a zone this card points to or some shit. Like
Honestly, I think
I
this
was
archetype
just hit by
is
something funny,
probably
really
the
funny.
worst in all of Yu-Gi-Oh. I genuinely think that.
I now image a meme of double summon where it's just called the Mark of Hopium when you know it sucks.
I mean, yeah, like
Well-
double summon can be effective. The problem is it's an unsearchable normal spell, so it's just like
Well,
such a cope card, like you said.
Double Summon was good for exactly the formats where it was good in like late GX, early 5Ds era.
Yeah.
It has not been good since then.
Well, no, not for most archetypes that are actually good, because usually they have inherent specials.
Or
Like
their normals are so
like
impact-
not last week because I was fucking floored by Cyberpunk Edge Runners and reading Note of the Ninth. Go watch Edge Runners. It's on Netflix now. Then 50% off. Yeah, I assume grass works with these guys. I mean, the problem is you have to stuff your deck with a bunch of extra bullshit because, as we've discussed, there aren't that many of these guys. There are
if
7
you
names in
wanna-
your extra deck. There are 6 elemental lords. There are 2 spell traps.
Yes, you could theoretically make this the worst grass deck of all time.
Yeah. Like that could work. It would be very easy to fuck that up though and fuck yourself out of being able to summon
Like,
elemental lords.
Genuinely, I think this archetype is worse than what I consider the worst archetype before than Earth's Arctic.
But the previous time we did a failed portrayal, we talked about Monarchs, another long-standing elemental-themed, major archetype that has loads of legacy support and has gone through several waves and has been really good.
Prediction Princess is getting a new... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird support in some of these sets upcoming. I feel like the OCG carves out like a couple of sets a year to be like, we're gonna put all our weird shit in this one. But as I was saying, like even Monarch, an archetype built around tribute summoning, is like, hey, you know what we do? What if we just had guys summon themselves from the deck to get you extra tributes, and then just gave you an extra normal? I mean, generators need
Why don't
support.
we just
Like,
let you
they're not
summon
good.
more? Look at
I mean, hypothetically, like, if you could figure out a good Isolde line, that is a good way to like add these guys summon these guys technically from deck by pitching equip spells that you have the room for, because again, you don't.
Honestly,
need
if
any
they
spell
had ways
traps.
to play where you could pitch more than one, like you could pitch multiples at once, it'd be better. There was like a whole thing being like.
Well,
pitching.
that's the thing, right? Is the reason why you can't do that is because you can't get extra summons. If you could get multiples of these guys on board without exhausting your hand, you could hypothetically do it. It's just
Honestly, I feel like they would have benefited if they had something like multi-conduction field with the lava
Oh
graveyard
my
combo, where you
god!
get
Sorry, I
cheap
need to
hit six.
say this. They're giving Terror King Salmon support.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
not
like,
that
one.
weird.
Portal.
Like, because Terra King Salmon, like, that's.
It's part of big
I
water
think the
tower.
That was
verb
from
of like.
Invasion of Chaos.
Oh
Well, that already happened. But the Terra King, the name check support on Terra King, like, actually is like. It's a verb or something. Anyway.
No, but no, Omega, you don't understand. They're printing Infernal Queen Salmon.
Oh, yeah,
You
it's
mean
a
they
lot
already
more
printed
back.
Infernal Queen Salmon?
Oh, Darkwing Blast is out?
Oh no, that's in Darkwing Blast. I thought you said IOC.
No, Terror King's in IOC.
Anyway,
I don't. Dallas is saying words to me, and I don't understand.
we can talk
Oh
about
no,
the
it was that was only. Oh, you mean like that IOC? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking of Battle of Chaos, a modern set. No, Terror King Salmon, like he's got a World of Darkness name check.
True.
Like and also is a pretty important boy in Water deck. That's just nostalgia support. Which I feel like Darkwing Blast is in it because they literally made it about Blackwings. That's like a nostalgia set. Oops, that was the wrong tab.
That's
Close.
true.
I need Dallas to stop distracting me, otherwise I will pass
I will
out
stop.
halfway through
I
this
will
episode.
stop.
We are not. Somehow we've been going for an hour-ish, 50 minutes, and
I'll
we have
stop,
not
I'll
actually hit all of the element sabers. I am astonished. Right, I read Mallow's effect. He just foolishes, which is good for this archetype, but again, slow. How we be doing this? How are we going to get these bits out?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it just costs too much resources, and there's no mitigation for it.
Yeah, as I think you put this best earlier, there's no turbo engine for these guys is the problem. Like,
Yeah.
even if you have the best goddamn Element Saber turn ever, you don't do that much unless you're playing
Like,
like
there's no-
card destruction or shit.
It's weird. There's no turbo engine and there's no control engine. They're literally.
Well, yeah,
pointless.
that's true. They don't have any spell traps. Like, can you imagine if they had like a continuous spell or trap that was like, I don't know, like once per turn, send an Element Saber from your hand to like negate your opponent's thing.
what if they
Or
had
like-
what was it? Not like actually like reverse Goza match where it's like you only have it's like Tiku but for type.
Teach
What-
you good for
what
attributes?
What
That'd be
if
pretty
their
funny.
field spell was Kaiser
But it's
Call?
basically only for
No, let's
Element
not do
Sabers.
that.
No, that also wouldn't work because you want more of these guys. Anyway, this is Element Saber Nalu. Nalu means wave. So they are the ice one. It's very very obvious the theme about the aping the element lords their their cosplaying effect here if you didn't know that already. Cuz that's just Molanglacia's head on her chest. I feel pretty confident with the lipstick and the like mascara, I think, the eyeshadow that this is a lady. Also, she's wearing a dress. And I'm trying to double check.
I mean, and she has
No,
a
okay.
fucking whip.
Okay, I was very concerned. Because of the way Konami works sometimes. I was concerned that like the dress being painted on her abdomen navel region was a censorship, but no, that is how it is in the original.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's just wearing a very tight dress.
Also, not using a saber.
Yeah, no. I mean, you could
That's a
argue
Cat of
this
Nine
is.
Tails.
Is it actually a Cat of Nine Tails? It's only got 3 sections.
Or well, it's 3 prongs.
Yeah, it's a whip.
Still a whip.
Like you could argue because they're very clearly bladed segments that they're trying to do a whip sword, but they're not really. They're not trying hard. They're way more whip swords.
Ivy is. This is not an Ivy situation.
No.
She cannot make it a sword.
But like otherwise, it's. She has a weapon. It seems a little short for considering she's actually seems kind of tall. Her reach is a little low, but like technically the spike from Molanglacia's head, like in the dead center of the chest, is like okay, but nah, it's fine. This design is fine. It's icy. It's frosty. I don't really have any objections.
She feels like, I don't know. I get vibes of like she feels like the person that like doesn't join to like the second half of the story, but it's like really cool.
I mean, yeah, there is. I mean, it's the ice, obviously, but there is something kind of like cool and like standoffish or neutral. Like she's not really
Like
T-posing, but she's kind of like she's got a whip. She's kind of standing back. Alternatively, this is the character who shows up in the tutorial and then, you know, immediately jobs the fuck out and you never see her again.
Aw.
So Nalu is a level 3 water warrior. She has 1500 attack, 1k defense. Not really doing anything special there. Once per turn, send to target an elemental saber or lord in your graveyard and add it to your hand. This is the first case where I'm like, yeah, this is just straight up not good in this deck. Like, arguably, okay, obviously, yes, technically, because it does count Elemental Lord. If you have an Elemental Lord that you somehow, like, card destructioned or milled or whatever into the graveyard that you didn't special, you want to get back, okay, sure. But, like, if you just want to special from the graveyard, Aina is way better at that. And, I don't know, just, there's search cards if you really need the guys back in your hand. It's just...
Yeah, no.
And I think Konami understands this. Let me check the official deck list. I'm pretty sure Nalu is out. They even list Nalu at 1.
No, I have never seen
No,
a
I'm
single
wrong.
element
They
saber.
put Molehu at 1 and Nalu at 3.
Okay.
So Konami
well,
are
that's
drunk.
stupid,
That's not the ratio. Like, obviously, I could argue you should probably play 1 Nalu for the extra attribute and the name, but, like, nah, fam. This ain't it. This is just one of those fundamental, like, fail portrayal things we talk about sometimes where it's like, yeah, no, this card just does not do what you want it to do in this archetype.
I feel it has the best design so far in my mind, but that's kind of it, really.
Yeah.
Visually.
Okay, next. Technically the Iconical Boy, because L comes before M, and this is our first level 4. It's regular Lapulia. He has 2 swords. Lapulia, by the way, means lightning flash.
The
So
phosphorus.
this guy looks like a dick.
I mean, this is
he
the
looks like a
protagonist,
Brains
obviously.
character.
This
Yeah,
guy
he's
has
like a
this guy has
dickhead
2 swords.
protagonist.
He's the protagonist. Oh yeah, no, yes, yeah. You can want to punch him, because
he's the arrogant one that gets his shit kicked in midway.
You
through
ever
the
see
story.
Arifureta? This is the main character from that.
I have not, but I will believe you, because he's got. I don't know what you call that one, like, dangling forelock, but that's a really douchey forelock, right?
Yeah, he also has resting smug face.
I mean, he's got 2 swords. You cannot achieve the power to dual wield unless you can achieve resting smug face.
I will say his armor.
Yes,
his phosphorus armor is just not good.
No, really?
Or
I
at
think
least
it's fine.
The chest, the head on the chest.
No, that just looks like armor. That's sane.
I mean,
Technically, the fact that
design,
his shoulder
I'm
pauldrons
fine
are
with.
like straight up hand fans, that's a little weird.
Yeah, that's
The
fair.
design I'm fine with. I just hate the color.
Yeah, they went
Yellow
for,
just looks ugly.
as we like to say, they've gone for a very piss yellow here. Like it's kind of greenish. It's very day glow. I
mean,
think
yellow does not look good in metallic. Like, it just doesn't.
I think they wanted to offset the more like golden shiny yellow of the lightning background, but they should have just kept it the same color as his kind of. That's more of like a tan yellow, but like his more lightning bleedy sword. Like if his armor was that color, that would have worked
I
better.
think it's also because it's the colors of Phosphorage, but I might be wrong.
I don't. We'll see when we get there. I don't
His head
remember
is right
looking at his
there on the
art
chest piece.
earlier that Phosphorage is quite that shade
Yeah,
of
but
yellow.
also, Phosphorage has a thing that makes yellow work, in that it is a celestial being of celestial holiness.
And
This
I
guy's
mean, I
just
don't know if the
douche.
colors have necessarily 1-to-1 matched either. Like exactly. You can play with the palettes a little. You got to make stuff that looks good. But yeah. So now you might think that. Actually, you know, I'm noticing another problem. The Element Sabers are such an engine for you to win with those Elemental Lords because their stats are all crap.
Correct.
Like, so Lapulia Mana is a level 4 light warrior, 400 attack, 2100 defense. Would you have guessed that from this card art? No. Now, admittedly, this one has a decent effect. The main problem is the stat line. Once per turn when a spell trap is activated, quick effect, send an element saber from your hand to the graveyard to negate and destroy it. So, this is a spell trap negate. Cool. How the fuck do you get this guy on the board? I assume pitch him and then Ina, but, like, it's complex. Like, you're not going to normal summon a 400 attack monster in order to get a spell trap negate, which is a terrible shame. Like, it would be a good effect, but unfortunately this guy's stat spread makes it really hard to play out because you have to jump through hoops to put this in a position where your opponent doesn't just normal summon anything run over.
Also, I'm going to be real. Like, spell trap negates are cool. They're not that great in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, by 2022 they're not that great, but it was still decent, and there are certainly blowouts, and as I brought up, Element Sabers are pretty vulnerable to, because they have such low summoning, they're pretty vulnerable to board wipes, and obviously, like, if your opponent, I don't know, if they're prepared for Mystic Mine, for instance, they're also prepared to blow up your field spell, which doesn't have a lot of protection. I believe it's only Element Training does that, and you can't search that.
Yep.
So, yeah.
The big problem is there's no way to get this guy in face-up defense position.
Yes, there's no easy way. I think the only way we've brought up so far is pitch him and then summon with Ina.
Sorry.
Which is a lot of work just to get a negate, and then you have 2 tiny baby monsters on board, right? Yep. I guess you know what you figure out some hoop-tastic way to make Isold pitch 4 equip spells to get your negate. That's worth it, right?
It's the whole thing of, like, it's a tire archetype held down, but it just doesn't have speed.
Yeah.
Low.
It's and I think, to be fair, earlier, like, well, I don't know if it's exactly true, because, like, Firewall FDKs did exist right away,
archetype.
but, like, no, Master Rule 4 was meant to slow down the game, and it did to some archetypes, but there were also some fast archetypes.
Yeah, you want to know what archetype this was playing against? They got their final wave of support in this, or not their final wave, but one of their final waves of support in this set.
What?
Okie dokie Goki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goki just goes from turn 1. Just goes from turn 4.
Yeah, and this is 2018, right? I'll see what the top
I believe
decks were.
all of the Element Sabers were Flames of Destruction, if you're looking for a specific set.
Yeah, which is early 2018, I think?
Yeah, I think so. Let me choose. I'm looking at Malaya right now. Yeah, earlier. 5/3/2018.
Let's see what was winning around this
Also,
time.
by the way, again, this was before. This is one of those cases where Konami didn't know how to balance their rarities as well. A lot of these guys were high rarity, which is just dog shit. Like, I think the field spell was like a secret. The Pulia and Malayu were like ultras.
Sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Deck site got updated.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry, caught me by surprise for a second.
No, it's fair.
We haven't done prog in a while, so I haven't looked at it for any long reasons.
Okay, I will pull up the next card art while you're
So
waiting.
popular at the time was Trickstars, of course Burning Abyss, but that just won't die. Spiral.
Yeah. Hell,
Magicians.
fun fact about Spiral. In at least one of the decks for this that on Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Decks actually, like, made it somewhere in a tournament, made it to a rated spot. They were actually playing, like, 1 or 2, like, double agent as a very tiny baby Spiral package. Like,
Fun.
yeah. But so this is Elemental Saber
Draco.
Malehu. Yeah, this don't do shit against True Draco.
Some madman went top 8 with Ritual Beasts in 2018. Mad respect.
I mean, I believe that's the Canahawk.
No, but Ritual Beast was 2015.
Maybe they unbanned Canahawk? That card, Canahawk did things. Anyway, again, we're doing that prevaricating thing. I don't actually care that much. Malehu, by the way, cool name, means Twilight. Malehu, no cap, this is the best card in the deck. I'll explain why later.
I'd argue something, but
I mean, out of the Lapulia lets you.
Saber's easy.
Lapulia mana makes you minus. Yeah, no, out of the actual element sabers, this is the best guy.
Yeah. No,
we'll explain why in a second. Design-wise, I mean, the fact that he's got Umbra Mirage's like face like at crotch level is not good. I do not know what we were thinking with that. Like making his weird Cylon visor into this guy's belt buckle, but otherwise, yeah.
Besides that, he weirdly feels like the guy for like 2/3 of the story
Also
is the bad
appears
guy,
to
and
have
then
a
turns out to be the double agent dude.
He also has appeared to have a small case of grayscale, or he's from Bizarro World, because that dude's skin is gray.
I mean, he's the dark one. It's a little gray, yeah, but he just
pale.
spends all his time inside. The purple aura of the Umbra protects him from the sun's deadly rays, Dallas.
Also, not a saber.
No, he has a scythe. Now, admittedly, he's also got a weird grip on that scythe.
To quote one of my favorite quotes of all time, what are you planning on doing with that, slaying fields of wheat?
I mean, honestly, this one is so, like, long and wedge-bladed, like, you could probably just baseball swing people with it and it works, but yeah, no.
Use it as a weird fucking tomb.
Scythes are not weapons. This is my... Well, no, sickles are not the same as scythes. Sickles are effective weapons. Scythes are
also,
not weapons.
technically, Dallas is incorrect. There's a thing called a war scythe, but to make it a war scythe, you take the scythe blade and you rotate it 90 degrees.
Yeah. Isn't that just basically a glaive, though?
I mean, kinda. The main thing with the war scythe is what it really is just we took the scythe blade, we unscrewed it, and we taped it the other way so you can actually use it.
Yeah, this is just a glaive.
Yeah.
That's not cheating.
No. It's got there's a different curve direction.
I forget the only use
the blade's still on the inside curve.
I forget the only use of a scythe being working is Reaper and 14, but they have demon stands to compensate.
Well, no, in any game where you can shoot magic out of your asshole, of course a scythe works.
And to be fair, this guy's glowing with big purple energy. He's drinking some grape Kool-Aid.
Like, no matter what
they're all a bunch of
has
farmers that got demon
taught us, scythes are not good weapons.
But they look cool, which is what this guy absolutely cares about. He really cares that he looks cool right now. Look at this pose he's doing.
This guy has Linkin Park lyrics in his background.
Yeah, this guy, he's not doing a JoJo pose, but he's posing a little bit. Like, he's got his hips cocked, he's got a leg raised slightly to be like, ho, look at me, I'm so cool. I look like I don't care that I think I'm cool, but I think I'm cool. But this is a good color comp, you know, the black, the purple and gold with the black backing. His hair's kind of in the right ballpark. It's a decent look.
Oh my god, Omega. Holy shit.
What?
Wait, I just realized where I've seen this man before.
What's up?
This guy is literally a character from JoJo.
Is he? I mean, he does kind of have that, like, look to his appearance.
No, from part 1. That one dude, that Joseph had to fight.
It could be Bluford.
Yeah, Bluford.
He does have blue hair.
Look. Well, he has blue hair, he has the same hairstyle, he has the same skin tone. This is just a JoJo's character.
This could, in fact, be a JoJo reference. I could see that. So, by the way, why did I say that Molehu is probably the best element saber? So he's a Dark Warrior, level 4. He has 1900 attack and 0 defense, so he has one of the best stat lines out of these guys. It actually does something. And once per turn, quick effect. Send an element saber from your hand to graveyard. Book of Moon a monster.
I mean, I would argue that I think Windrose is or not Windrose. What's her name?
Makani. Blah.
Makani. I think Makani and Aina also have very good use cases.
Yeah. But they still require you to have a little like setup. But like this is Book of Moon on a stick that continues your graveyard setup and has a decent stat line. Like that's the thing about Aina or Makani. They are small. If you're doing anything, they're going to get run over pretty easily and cannot run over your opponent's monsters to save their life. So
I still want to give it to Makani just because she's a tutor for anything in your deck, basically.
Well, that's true, and that's very useful. But again, it's the slowness factor. not to say that Malehu is useful all the time, but he has a quick effect, and like that can be very powerful. Like tucking your opponent's monsters when they least suspect it is very powerful. I don't know if any of y'all might have seen it, but I watched Hardleg showed some best ups from a DBC tournament.
I saw that was a good time.
Yeah.
Second game
That
Punisher was awesome.
showed me very strongly why the fuck Snow should not have been unbanned and should go back to jail immediately, because on-demand Book of Moon on a stick is like cracked.
Omega, don't. That's the only way of beating Sword Soul players. Is just snowing them.
I mean, if it works, it works. But yeah, no, it's like, I mean, in the TCG context.
By the way, did you know that Snow is at 3 in Master Duel? Because of
Yes,
reasons?
the OCG is weird. You can play 3 Snow. But yeah. Also, by the way, I actually watched a history of Jank today. I would recommend that to all of you guys who are watching. I know Loth had a BRB, so I don't know if you can hear me right now, but if you can, it was Jurak, a Failed Portrayal Classic, Jurak, and Ancient Gear Machina. So.
Yep.
Director, though, is not a bad deck. It's just kind of weird.
I think we talked about that back on our Failed Portrayal. Like, Jurak has a good skeleton. The problem is that it just didn't do enough in its own deck to be good, and other decks at that time were really good.
Like, this is what I would... Like, Jurak is an example of an archetype that I would call a good deck. Like, this is why I point out Ursa Arctic and Element Saber so much. It's, like, yes, technically they have higher power level cards than most of the Jurak cards, but the deck doesn't work without help. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Like, with both of those. Like, Jurak is... You can just... Like, I mean...
You can play pure Jurak and you have plays. You can do things. You can do some pretty funny things, actually, honestly.
Jurak is a functional deck. It's just... Like Evil. Man, Dinosaurs really got the shaft for a while, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they printed Misk.
Yeah. Yeah. But, like, yeah.
And they print Misk and Soul Eating at the same time?
No, not at the exact same time.
No, they printed Lost World and Soul Eating at the same time. And honestly, that's what caused Dinos to be good.
Yeah.
Was Lost World, Soul Eating, and the dude, big man. I can't remember his name.
Ultimate Conductor Tyranno?
Yeah.
Yeah. Structure decks. So this is Element Saber Lapulia mana. I do not know why he has a different name in the OCG, other than that maybe people would think it was funny. His name in the OCG is Element Saber Uillard.
That's
Weird.
not... Okay.
So maybe they decided to do something different. Anyway, this is just, you know, the Lapulia Amana in his... Well, he goes Super Saiyan because his hair's all gold now, you know, basically. Like, he's just... This is his extra form. He looks even dumber. The collar is not a good look. I guess they work better as wings than shoulder pads, but yeah, no, this looks very uncomfortable to move in.
This is one of the worst designed Yu-Gi-Oh cards of all time, in my opinion.
It's
like
a super form, but it's not that very super, I would say.
This is peak shit anime design.
Yes, this is a very, very Yu-Gi-Oh, very, very anime-ass design, and it is worse for it. He's even got orbs now. It's only a couple of orbs, but he's got some extra orbs.
Ban someone in chat?
Good problem.
Yeah, no, the words that just come out of someone's mouth just made me want to reach through the screen. And
no, this is way more ludicrous than Gil.
I've also just noticed a weird thing. I think he combined his 2 swords into one.
Yes, obviously.
Also, he has fucking DBZ goddamn twink hair again.
Well, yeah, no, his hair already stuck up. Now it's just all gold. Like I said, he's gone Super Saiyan.
This is just a new level of awful with every look.
Yeah, no, it's not a good design.
It's just extraordinarily mediocre.
Which is a terrible shame because, again, this is we're attempting to give us a main deck boss monster that's not an Elemental Lord. So, Lapulia Mana is a level 6 Light Warrior, 2400 attack, 2100 defense. You can send 2 other monsters from your hand or hand to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of Lapulia mana once per turn, so of course you have a hopped on your 1 inherent special summon, which also, as Dallas brought up earlier, you have to -2 to do. Apply the following effects to Element Saber or Elemental Lord monsters you control, depending on the original attributes of any Element Saber monster sent to the graveyard to activate this card's effect. Earth or Wind can't be destroyed by battle. Water or Fire can't be destroyed by card effects. Light or Dark, opponent cannot target with card effects. So this does give your board protection for once, which is cool, but it's very situational, and it's unfortunately means that it can easily be made redundant because what happens if you've just got a grip full of Earths, you know? So Lapulia mana is decent. It gives, you know, your boys protection. Obviously, again, it's trying to set up your grave with extra cards for Elemental Lords, but again, it's a hopped on its special summon effect, and this guy doesn't have any other way to send more monsters from the graveyard, so it's still not quite enough to get your deck going. Like, basically, what I'm thinking of is, as we're walking through these cards, I'm thinking in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! terms, what's your turn 1 play? And unfortunately, unless you get very lucky with outside support cards that are broken, like Card Destruction or you know, Grass, whatever, there is no way that you can go from turn 1 into an Element Lord, like, easily with just these Element Saber monsters. None of them pitch enough cards or special summon enough cards to pitch more cards to actually put enough guys in grave that you could reasonably pull off this effect.
Yeah, and there's no way to go into extra deck because there's no inherent specials or anything.
Yeah, no.
Honestly, that's why I think this is worse than Earth Arctic, because at least Earth Arctic you can usually make one of the big
well, yeah,
things.
hell, Earth Arctic is all about inherent special summons. They're all level 8 and level 7. They literally... You don't get to do Earth Arctic plays unless you're using their special summon effects.
Like,
so
they have no protection, no searching, no anything, but they do...
But Dallas, their
honestly,
field spell says draw 7.
They have the opposite problem of each other, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, this has all gas and no setup, or no end board, whereas Earth Arctic has all end board and no gas.
Omega, but
Yeah.
also W Nebula Meteorite also said that too.
No.
Yeah, but Worms actually won a YCS. Earth Arctic has done nothing. Ever.
Also, no.
It was draw 5.
No, it's draw as many as you flip up.
Right. Okay. My bad.
It's usually a huge plus if you're actually playing Alien, but it's not.
It's usually a draw 3 or 4.
The actual text of... I'm not even going to bother to name the Earth Arctic field spell, but the Earth Arctic field spell says draw 7 if you got 7 tokens.
Yeah, but you have to, like, shoot God in the head with a fucking slingshot to do it.
Yeah. It's bad. Like, honestly... And the scary thing is, like, you could probably crack Element Saber with, like, 1 or 2 cards. Like, all they need is probably, and I would argue, probably spell cards. Like, give them just a spell card that lets you, like, special an extra, pitch one to special summon from your hand or something, right? Like, just another card to let them get other guys on the board, and it's fine. That, or, I don't know, give them a couple level 1s that do some stuff.
I can see a kind of, like, fair but broken one of being, like, pitch 1, special someone from your deck, 1 attribute that is not in your
Or give
grave.
them an extra deck monster.
Yes,
Gotcha.
Also like a Link 1 would just... A Link 1 that has a special summon to his own effect would be godly.
'Cause I feel like they could do a thing of you special summon something from your deck, something that is not an attribute you have in your grave, so it has to be a different one every time. Works in your favor.
Okay, but also you can just change their attributes in grave.
Exactly.
So we waste our attribute changing effects to summon more guys.
Regardless,
I think a much more fair way than actually fucking with your attribute economy would just say a name you don't have.
Fair.
Because if nothing else, these guys have extra names. So let's talk about the actual interesting ones. And talk about the elemental
Let's talk about
lords.
the better cards. I don't want to say good, because a lot of them aren't.
I've got these arranged in alphabetical order. And that's
is that
kind
when we
of...
start with the shitball one?
That's kind of chronological, because the first 2 are earlier, though it does mean that Windrose is way at the bottom. But, you know, it's still decent. So, let us mention... first, Grand Soil, the Elemental Lord.
Ah, never mind, not the shitball one.
No. G is the highest letter, Dallas.
No, you're correct.
So, yeah, Grand Soil, obviously the Earth one because he's called Grand Soil. You can see kind of the connection with, what's-her-face, Aina, but also not really.
Yeah, this is definitely the one that is the furthest away from their...
I mean, like, her body armor is definitely the same style as the armor, but, like, Grand Soil is a big, chunky, rocky boy.
Yeah.
Ooh, Snake Rain with multiple attributes. That's true. Though, let us be fair. Snake Rain is a phenomenal card that just doesn't have a home because Konami will never make reptiles good enough. Though I'm actually kind of surprised.
For a moment there, but it didn't work.
No,
I mean,
Tier doesn't actually. Tier activates effect in
okay,
graveyards.
yeah.
It doesn't actually summon in graveyard. It makes fusion monsters.
Also, there's no reptile tiers.
No, I'm talking about. I was gonna talk about. I was about to mention that Ogdoadic requires you to be playing a deck that works out of your graveyard. But the problem is that unlike Exorcister, Ogdoadic's thing is monsters that are summoned from the graveyard. But Tier doesn't do that. Tier uses monsters in graveyard to summon.
Yeah, but Ogdoadic I would say is a decent deck. It's
No,
not
Ogdoadic
great,
is good, and they're all light and dark, so they roll really well into a Chaos package. The problem is that their greatest effects require your opponent to be fucking around in your graveyard, which you can't guarantee.
What were those chaos-based?
I think their big problem is they're an OTK deck.
What were those chaos-based like Albaz storyline cards? Because I wonder if those would work well.
The dragons probably not, because I think they type block you to dragons.
Yeah.
Oh right, I thought some of them weren't dragons though.
No, those guys are all dragons. The Bisted, those are all dragons.
Oh, okay. Because I remember some of them looking like one being a wolf thing, but.
No, I believe they are. I'm pretty sure all the Bisted cards are light and dark dragons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, Ogdoadic's a good deck.
Yes.
It's just.
No, I as a big Ogdoadic stan, I have tried them out. I understand. They're fun. They're cool. They have a lot of resources. They just don't have enough teeth. Because, once again, Konami keeps doing this thing where they're trying to make the main deck cool, and then you just don't. They don't give you any extra deck tools. Is the problem? Like the best extra deck card Ogdoadics have is King of the Feral Imps, and that's just because he searches any fucking reptile.
The weirdest thing about it is like,
I think the best card, the best extra deck card Ogdoadics have is number 97 Draglubion.
Well, that's also true. You can get some 8s on board.
The weirdest thing I take out of it is like, if you're gonna make a main deck archetype that's entirely main deck, you should just make it where it hates things from it has.
That's true. Yeah. If you make an entirely main deck, make it like Dogmatica, where if your opponent is summoned from the extra deck, tell them to go fuck themselves.
Or like Monarchs, where it also has hate for the extra deck.
Monarch is really floodgatey. But no, like that's Ogdoadic's issue is just they. Like, and I'll say this, you don't have to make their boss an extra deck monster. Like, you can keep the big boy bosses in the main deck, but, like, we need a little bit of utility. You know, give me a reason to summon more than 2 units.
I'll play a little bit of defense. They basically do, because, weirdly enough, reptiles have a lot of link monsters.
It's true, they have a couple. You can play M-Shock Trooper. I think the other alien-themed link, the other Cosmic Fortress, I don't remember if that. I think that came out technically after Ogdoadics.
I think that one's also locked to Alien. I think
it might be. I kind of hope it wasn't because that's a dumb move. Because Alien is bad.
You can play Echidna in there. You can play
True, and that does actually help you because you've got some weird stuff. And I mean, if you wanted to, like, obviously Such works because that gives you another body, but you could, like, always try another package like Reptilian.
Cyril is just 2. Yeah, you can play that one too.
So there's a decent spread, but I don't think they do enough that synergize with the archetype is the problem. Like the best is King of the Feral.
Kind of does.
So, I forgot what.
It's Grand Soil. He's a big boy. I don't think there's a lot to say because he's just a mountain of a man.
Grand Soil is very good for possibly the wrong reasons.
So I do, though, before we start, we have to play the game, chat. Are you ready? What's this type? So please, looking at Grand Soil the Elemental Lord, tell me what type he is. I will tell you, because I'm asking you this question. You can assume it is not rock, which is the obvious fucking answer.
It can't be a rock, but what is one for dirt? What is dirt?
A wild monster appears is actually used in the Konami build. Only at 1 though, but that works. Thunder, good guess.
Thunder is a good guess.
Incorrect, but good guess.
like charged rock.
I mean, he's got lightning, and there are actually some
That
earth
is not a
thunders.
type.
No, I'm joking, but that's what thunder is sometimes, where it's just an energy filled rock sometimes.
Spicy rock.
Well, magnets.
I think of a Thunder Dragon Matrix where it's just a rock egg.
Well, I mean, it's an egg. I think it's a matrix, but that's a light thunder. That's not even what we're talking about.
No, not a warrior. I know that is the default type of Konami.
No,
just
that's
like,
especially
I don't know
because
what
all
this
the
is.
element
Or
sabers
dragon.
were warriors. Okay, machine. Okay,
Not a
it's
machine.
Earth. Decent guess.
What? Is
I'll
there
give you
one?
one more before I tuck in there.
I don't know why, but I feel like the word elemental comes to mind, but that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Elemental's
No, we
not
don't
a
have
type.
that.
It's not a type. I know.
I think Yu-Gi-Oh would be much easier if that was a type, but they technically split that into all the different types. Other than the fact that Winged Beast is the air elemental type for some ungodly reason, because we refuse to make sense
Because we
here.
don't have because there's no cloud type. I feel like that'd be
Spellcasting.
cool.
Decent effort. No. This, my friends, is a beast warrior.
Yeah.
Where's the
Clearly a
animal
beast
part?
warrior.
Where's the
Very
animal part?
clearly.
Yes. The animal is rock.
The animal.
So,
It's an
Grand Soil, the
armadillo.
Elemental Lord, is a level 8 Earth Beast Warrior. He has 2,800 attack, 2,200 defense, can't be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by having exactly 5 Earth monsters. When this card is special summoned, target a card in either graveyard, special summon that target. You can only use this effect of Grand Soil once per turn. If this face-up card leaves the field, skip your battle phase. So, the Elemental Lords also, I believe, have this effect where if they're removed, you skip your battle phase as well, which is probably why the Palace does that. The problem is that, like, that's a punishment for summoning this giant motherfucker with a card effect that maybe kind of sort of resembles a card that might be banned sometimes.
Yeah. This is
Wandering
they're
Monster
all
here.
based off of very powerful, basically the original like couple of sets, or in one case a video game promo. But we'll get to that.
But yeah, so in case you can't tell, I believe Grand Soil has showed up in Earth decks off and on throughout the time because
Yeah.
he is a big fat motherfucker at 2,800. He's
He's
a level
also
8.
been a part of FTKs.
Yes, because he lets you recover.
Because spoiler, this card was errated.
Is the Hopped and the Errata?
No. The errata was basically just it's just PCST. Never mind. Oh no, wait, hold on.
The Hopped was the Errata.
Oh, it was the errata.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The original printing
No,
did not have that hard once per turn.
Yeah. That became a problem because you could just loop it.
Well, and I mean that's why Monster Reborn is only at 1, I'm pretty sure, because doing it once is funny, but being able to do it multiple times, because that's the thing.
No,
like, if you can bounce this guy back to your hand, you can just summon him again, because
It
you still
wasn't
have 5s.
that, Omega. It was 2 Grand Soils back and forth forever.
Oh, you just Grand
And
Soil
then
into Grand Soil.
FTKs.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
whenever you can, because
Whenever a card...
as MBT has brought up, for some ungodly reason, Cannon Soldier is still legal.
Rule of thumb.
Yeah.
If a card ever gets hard once per turn errated, it is either 1, a meta-defining card, or 2, was part of an FDK.
And sometimes that's the same thing. But yeah, basically, because Cannon Soldier exists for some ungodly reason, and Amazon is Archer too, technically, anytime a card can just loop itself indefinitely into each other, you can basically FTK.
Yo, Giga Plant.
Yeah, you can play an FTK as an example. The Frog FTK usually uses Mass Driver, but like that was another example that
I mean,
frogs
you could
just
still do
loop
it without
themselves
Mass
forever.
Driver.
Yes.
I'm very tempted to bring Substitute FTK one of these days, just because we still haven't banned it.
Oh, we haven't ever hit Substitute? Yeah, I guess we just hit Mass Driver.
Oh.
I mean, you'd have to wait a turn or two, but sometimes you have to wait a turn or two anyway with Toad.
Still bootleg it with
Yeah.
Cannon Soldier.
It's stupid. But yeah, so Grand Soil is obviously a good boy because he...
Yeah.
Admittedly, he's not as good now that he has a Hopped, but still a Monster Reborn you can run 3 copies of and is also attached to a giant motherfucker.
I mean, this card is only held back in that most of the predominant Earth archetypes either don't have graveyard setup or already have their own Reborners, so we don't... Like, Earth Machine is a good example of a deck that's like, we don't need your Grand Soil, we have plenty of those.
We also don't need your jank-ass FTK, we have our own jank-ass FTK.
I mean, I wouldn't call the Ruin Force FTK that jank. It's literally just make big guy.
So let's talk about another one of them ones. Molinglacia, the Elemental Lord. I think, unfortunately, blowing this guy up makes him dumber.
Oh, yeah. Molinglacia looks stupid.
Yeah, I did not realize he was a long boy. That kind of ruins the effect. When you see this card small,
like
you think he's got, like, some weird legs, but, like...
You don't like the Holy Dragon Cow?
Yeah, I don't know what this is supposed to be. Is it like a skate ray?
Cow. It's a dragon cow.
No, I mean, I know you're saying that because of the horns, but they're too far up to be a cow. It's like...
Long dragon?
Yeah, but he's so flat. Like... I don't get it. I don't get what the design is. Like, the armor design is cool, and we said that about Nalu. Like, Nalu looked good because she was just wearing this guy's pants.
Step away for so long.
It's okay. Cool. We continue to shoot the shit and talk about how element sabers are bad.
Mean?
Well, it's more Molinglace, but it's like I think it's just a play on Glacier.
Oh, well, I know what he's supposed to be. Duh, we should just look at his typing.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. By the way, so Molinglacia is a weird. So all of them have some weird like wombo combos in different languages. Basically, Molinglacia is Moulinglace. I assume that's how you say that in French. Ice mill. Which is funny because this is not a mill effect.
No. Well, kind of. It's mill adjacent.
Nah, it's a rip effect. But yeah, Molinglacia is a water guy.
Card. Of course it is.
Yeah, it's of course it involves fucking with your hand. It's a water card. Yeah.
Yeah. No. This is the best elemental by far.
Yes. No.
If you're judging by appearances in actual real decks.
Elemental Lord Danger Noodle.
It's kind of what you're going for. And by the way, shocking nobody, this was a secret rare in Abyss Rising. Yeah, but also, I think out of the boys, this is the guy who's gotten a common ass reprint. They put this in Structure Deck Freezing Chains, which is probably a good idea.
Well, yeah, because he was actually played in tournament decks.
Yes.
Unlike I mean, Grand Soil was played in some decks, but not a lot. Because once again, Earth has a lot of Reborn effects.
Yeah. But yeah, so Molinglacia is a level 8 Sea Serpent, and it's the same stat line, 28-22. It is a Sea Serpent, so they are kind of going for a Water Dragon effect. It requires 5 water monsters, and if it's special summoned, discard 2 random cards from your opponent's hand, or their entire hand if less than 2. It's not exactly Delinquent Duo, but it does make you discard 2, so it is very similar to Delinquent Duo. And then if this face-up card leaves the field, you lose your battle phase.
It's arguably better than Delinquent Duo.
Yeah, it's just too random. Your opponent cannot force it. Just special summon this guy, hand rip 2. And keep in mind, this is a water card. Water has already got quite a few hand rip effects. So, yeah, it's pretty spiced. Actually seen tournament play.
Yeah, and I actually think another one might have. I'm just checking. I know some haven't. I know for a fact 2 of them have not, because they're awful. They're penis cards. But no, other than his art, which looks awful, this guy is not too bad. Oh, well, fuck me sideways.
What's up?
So, Omega, we talked so much shit. There's an Elemental Saber deck that was in a tournament.
I mean, I mentioned that. Some of them made it past the cut. Not very high placed usually.
Granted, it was top 128. So.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I remember that. I looked up that list. It's like they have made it to the final cut. They have not made it very high. I think there's another one that's like 9th place, so decent, but still not even top 8. And that was like once. Like they have not done a lot. We're gonna bring up our next Elemental Lord, which is relevant because this is Phosphorage. Dallas, I think you're wrong. This guy's still pretty piss-colored up close.
Yeah, but it works more for him just because of what he is.
It's more it's more outright just green apple yellow to me.
It's definitely more greenish in this. I do also still think... Yeah, I think Phosphorage also still looks kind of like a dork.
The head thing looks... The head... Honestly, the head ruins this.
Yeah, he's got a weird floating head.
This would look better.
It looks like something mid-transformation sequence where it's like, this is the chess piece of some giant mecha.
Yeah, except it's not a mecha is the problem.
Or giant magic robot.
I'll spoil this for you. It's a fairy.
The lightning bits are trying to magnetize the other parts towards him. He's like, no, wait.
This is we're trying to do biblically accurate angels at home.
Yeah, this is like...
I believe you there, yeah.
No, I know what this is, Omega is.
Yeah.
This is biblically accurate angels, but our only reference is Evangelion. So we literally just made it a mech.
But yeah, so the by the way, the name source for Phosphorage is like it was Phosphorage in Japanese. They added some extra like fa in there. It just means thunderstorm. Which makes sense because of reasons we'll get into later. But yeah, like art-wise, again, this is a thing we do sometimes where we go like, lightning is light. So yeah, he's very electrical. He's a weird thunder angel. I don't.
Not a thunder.
Yeah, not a thunder. He's a fairy. He is an angel. And you know, I sure did love those plasma balls at the Science Museum when I was a kid. Never could afford it at the gift shop, but I loved them.
I know, yeah.
But other than that, there's not a lot going on here. Like, he's just kind of a weird torso with spikes and a floaty head.
Yeah, no, honestly, one of the weaker arts, especially up close, similar to Moon Glossia.
Yeah.
But honestly, not a bad card.
No, so Phosphorage is Light Fairy, level 8, 28, 22, like the rest. Need 5 lights. When it's special summon, disrupt all monsters your opponent controls. He's Raigeki, because he's thunder themed. So, this is pretty good. This is a board wipe.
Yeah. And he's a light level 8, which is not doesn't have a place.
No. And like we said, you know, he's a decent guy to summon, and unlike a lot of the cards we've seen, well, not so much for the Elemental Lords, like they've got a lot of good stuff, but like if you were playing the Element Saber deck with the Element Lord package, compared to the Elemental Sabers, like, this is a real way to actually win the fucking game, assuming you can conduct your fucking battle phase. Like, board wipe's good. It says a lot about the state of Yu-Gi-Oh! That, like, Raigeki is able to be unlimited in this day and age. Honestly, I don't think unlimiting Raigeki has anything to do with actual Raigeki's like literal effect on the game state. It's just that nobody is choosing to play. Nobody was choosing to play one Raigeki ever, so Konami was just like, fuck it, you can have 3, and people don't.
Because like Lightning Storm technically is better in most cases what they want it.
So they banned it in the OCG, or they limited it in the OCG, because that's the solution.
Yeah, I don't know exactly about the OCG, but like there's some...
goes to die.
I wish you could get that
choices.
reference, Marv, but I never actually played Skies of Arcadia.
Okay. I don't think we have anything else to say about Phosphorage. He is a good package boy.
He's decent, but he's not great.
Effect be good, art be weird.
All right, give me the full...
Now we should talk about someone who I feel the opposite way about.
This one.
Effect be bad,
I love this art. Yeah, I love
Pyro Rex, the Elemental Lord.
This is very much what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
It's a fucking magic dinosaur.
I mean, this is literally a 70s kaiju monster.
Yeah, no, this is a kaiju.
Yeah.
Okay, no, wait. This is a kaiju in a fantasy setting.
So
actually,
you need to watch more kaiju movies.
Yeah, actually, you haven't actually watched some classic kaiju movies, have you?
I've just never seen kaiju that had armor.
Medieval
there's lots.
Mecha Godzilla.
There's a lot of weird kaijus.
Mothra is literally summoned by divine pixie people.
Yes, but
there's a lot of weird shit. I mean, I will get. I will grant you. Sorry, I'm tired, and also I have a dry throat. But I really don't want to.
Oh, no, I'm thinking about
If I stop the episode to walk over and get my water bottle that's next to my bed, I might just land in my bed and never come back. So we're just.
I know that.
We've
feeling.
only
If
got
I-
like 2 cards left. We're just gonna power
if I-
through, okay?
I know that feeling. If I lay down, I'm going to just pass out. I know.
I don't
that
actually know if I'll pass out, but like I might not want to leave the
Looking-
bed for a couple of hours.
Looking at this, I just think full armored kaiju level 10.
Yeah, basically. And his face very Gigan, by the way.
Yeah, I really like this card
Yeah.
art.
No, this
Now,
one looks rad.
His effect is
to be questioned.
Pyrorex, by the
bad.
way, is like just Fire King, which is funny. Well, so the
Pyrex isn't bad.
no, he's not.
It's not good.
Yeah, so we talked before about how all these cards are based off like classic old school Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Many of which were banned or limited. So
Or
this guy's
rather-
effect is Ring of Destruction. He's a fire dinosaur, obviously. You know, Pyrorex. They went for the whole pun.
I should be very clear. Original Ring of Destruction card.
Yes.
For your robot.
When this card is special summoned, technically better than because you do it on your turn right away. Target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it. If you do, both players take damage equal to half the original attack of the destroyed monster. Notice that says half, not full.
There's one big problem with Pyrorex.
He can't blow up himself?
No. Despite what what you might think, there isn't really a deck he belongs in because there aren't a lot of fire decks that involve graveyard manipulation that isn't literally just rekindling blah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are plenty of fire decks that, like, pitch to graveyard. You know, this came out in Cosmo
But they usually
Blazer.
pitch like way more than 5.
Yeah, no. Let me see. What was in there? Yeah, so technically there were several, actually. So this was the same set that Hazy Flames and Brotherhood of the Fire Fist came out. Tenki is in the set that this card came out originally in. So I can kind of see what they were thinking when they were like, let's put this guy in the set. The main thing is, like, honestly, I don't know a lot about Hazy Flame, other than meme yelling. But I know Fire Fist decently well when it came out. I tried to pilot it a couple of times in our prog series. Like, would I have played Pyrorex? Yeah, sure. But I would not have been counting on it because that's not really a thing Fire Fist does, right? Like,
The
the
only
best
deck
thing
I
this
can
does
s-
is Love All.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Connection
Lavo
Field.
is the best deck for it because if you activate Lava Conduction Zone and you actually read it, unlike certain Yugi tubers, you get to mill exactly 5. So if you open this in your hand with Conduction Zone, technically you can just summon him instantly.
The main thing
But-
I think is that the problem is he is not a go first card because he's just
Yeah.
a big asshole if your opponent doesn't have a monster out there. And
Like, honestly, I might side him in that deck just for a.
Yeah. in a
But the
modern,
problem is, like, in that deck,
Mhm.
this guy is not even close to being a boss monster because this is a
No.
deck that runs like Quasar or Cosmo Blazer.
well, yeah,
Dragon.
because you synchro climb, and this guy doesn't necessarily help with that. I mean, he's an extra summon that might let you get some bigger guys on some bigger synchros out, but
he's a bad level for it though. That's the problem.
yeah, it
like, he's
depends on
level
your
8.
tuners. I think the main thing is the reason why this card wouldn't be more relevant in modern Yu-Gi-Oh is again fire decks are not very popular. They're very sketchy. Like Konami's very
Yeah,
like
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, what's the fire deck that's meta right now?
Salamangreat.
Yeah, Salad is usually the like third best deck in every format. That's true. Heat Soul is out.
It has been a rogue deck since it came out.
Yeah.
Or a meta deck.
The problem with that is just that Pyrex doesn't synergize with that at all.
Salamangreat is like no, that's what I mean. Like there is no deck for him.
Yeah. But the
Like,
thing is that
but, yeah.
there's less and less of a deck for him because, unfortunately, the problem is that the way with modern Yu-Gi-Oh usually works, like, not only do you have to open all the 5 fires to get Pyrex out and then pop, is you also probably have to open, like, a fucking Droplet or Dark Ruler No More or something because the monsters you're going to want to pop with this are usually going to have protection or negates or whatever.
Or be
like-
that stupid fucking sword soul fucker, motherfucker, man. I don't like that man.
Chisha quick effect is a quick effect. Your effect is negated, I think.
No, the big guy. Where whenever instead of being destroyed, you get to banish a card from your graveyard.
Oh yeah, right. By the way, fuck every card that says that. I hate all of them.
Chengyang.
Yeah. Any card that's like, hey, instead of being destroyed, what if I just fucked with my graveyard? You know that thing? Because I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I sent 50 cards to.
Oh no, Omega! This card is specifically designed to piss you off because also when you banish a card to protect him, you get to banish one of your opponent's cards once per turn. And for each banished card, you attack modulate your opponent's monsters into your monsters.
Yeah,
He's literally just designed to piss you specifically off.
This, by the way, is why in Master Duel I main deck Kaijus, and in my Evil Twin deck, I main deck Lava Golem. Because you need a way to get rid of cards that suck. Like,
Yes,
I know some people in our chat will be like, rada Kaijus. No. There are a lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That just fucking suck, and I want them to go away.
I will eat your testicles.
And, the problem is that it's one of those things where, like, it's not just, like, towers or something. It's, like, there's a whole slew of cards that are just designed to stick, and Kaijus are such an off button for that. Like, if you have a monster that's designed to be sticky, Kaijus will unstick him. And, like, damn. But yeah, so Pyrorex, like, on paper is a good card. He just hasn't had a very actionable deck.
Yeah, he's the worst of the Elemental Lords, I would say. I think that's fair to say. Well, no, he's not. Oh, wait, I forgot. No, there's one that's worse than him, but...
And how many more have we got left to go?
Two.
Spoiler, the
Action
next
effects.
one is the one that's worse than him.
I can see why. Also, hey, want to talk about cards that looked better as armors than as guys?
Yeah.
Here's Umbra Mirage.
Umbra Mirage is a card.
Look at this fucking discount fucking Phantom Knight.
I'm getting it's a weird person Fan Knight and an Alexander wannabe.
He doesn't have big giant tower arms to be an Alexander.
Fair.
I was thinking fucking Mech Knight.
I was thinking Kirby villain.
That works very
that
good,
also
Dallas,
works.
with his weird like wing ear crest. That's very true. Yes.
And the giant eye in the middle.
Yeah, this looks like what your like cute little sidekick monster turns into at the end of the game.
Yeah, like this guy is just weird, and he's got a lot of extra bits. Like he's got a weird eye thing in his chest, but also he has a helmet with his Cylon face. But also he's got scissor face.
I like this design because it is esoteric and weird and like almost non-Euclidean in a way.
I mean, I think it's better than the designs who've been like, well, that's just bad. It's just this one is just weird, and it's
definitely weird.
It's weird in like a way that I don't follow why it is weird.
This does have weird for weird's sake energy, but I gotta admit I'm a sucker for weird for
weird's
sake.
That's fair, but like yeah. So, Umbra Mirage, by the way, Shade plus Mirage.
I don't think the head is his head.
Yeah, no, probably not.
I think he's a giant eye.
Well,
That's what I've always
definitely is a giant eye. He doesn't have arms. He has kind of a ghost cloak, but he's a weird guy. Like the color scheme's still good, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. I mean, also I wouldn't say this guy's mechanical. He's just an armored ball. Like this still works in fantasy because it's just armor plates. This is a fiend, by the way, obviously.
No.
Dark, all the stats requires 5 darks.
I would have bought Spellcaster.
I would also have bought Spellcaster, but I think because these guys came at no, it was Cybernetic Horizon. This guy came out after Phosphorage, but still.
No, the only weird one is Grand Soil. That's the one you just go, what?
And to be fair, I think he was the first, so
Yes.
they didn't know what they were aiming for there. Anyway, so Umbra Mirage's effect is if he's specialed, add a monster 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. He is based on Sangan, and I guess that's why he's so orbular, but even if this is like pre-errata Sangan, you special summon this guy with 5 darks to search?
I mean, it's one of those things, it's like, On the one hand, I would get why, because Dark is definitely the easiest type to do this
I mean,
with.
yeah, but that's the thing, Dallas. This guy's basically competing with Dad.
Indeed.
Which is, like, admittedly, like, a little more finicky, because that's 3 Darks exactly.
I mean,
but
Dad
still.
is a better Element Saber boss monster than any of the Elemental Lords.
Yeah,
This is the
no, like, if you
funniest
want to
thing.
play the Dark, just don't play Umbra Mirage, just play Dad instead. And just you know, limit yourself to 3 Element
Yeah, I
Sabers and make them all
turned
Dark.
I turned 3 of my guys into Darks.
Yeah.
They should totally retrain Dad as an elemental lord just to fuck with people.
That'd be
That
very
would be
funny.
very funny, yes. That would be hilarious.
And literally just call him Dad, like D space D A space D.
Yes.
Or D dot A dot D.
Yeah. D-A-D. But yeah,
The ban is
Mirage is
Elemental
just
Lord.
it's just an effect where, like, given given how much setup you need to usually do Elemental Lords, and obviously Dark is very experienced with these kinds of graveyard setups, right? We talk about Dad,
Yeah,
Dark
Arma,
Nephthys, Dark Creator, etc.
Armageddon, Grepher,
Yeah.
like I understand why they didn't want to make it not powerful, but like I mean,
It's
you
such
coulda
a
made it
letdown.
Witch.
Yeah,
If he's
coulda
meant to
made it
be
Witch.
saying, you know, where's my Mirage Witch fusion monster?
that'd be pretty funny, yeah. Okay, and now our last one for the Eventide.
And not least, because this one's better.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of which, unsurprisingly, this is the worst Elemental Lord by far.
The next one?
No, Umbra
No,
Mirage.
Umbra Mirage.
Yeah, now that makes sense.
Yes,
he's
I know.
just
I
like,
have looked at this one
why?
up close.
I have tried to make Pyrorex work. I have never tried to make him
So
work.
this is Windrose.
Yes.
Now,
Oh, this one.
yeah, I don't think Windrose is the worst. It's got a little bit of that weird for weirdness sake energy. I do like that now that it's blown up, you can actually see it has like a bird face, and then its big neck is like a ruffle. That's good, because
like
from a distance, this thing
yeah.
doesn't look like it has a face. It looks like it just has
It's-
a non-Euclidean flower head.
Yeah, it looks like the ruffle looks like something that could like flare up and like go down depending on how angry he is. If anyone here has played Monster Hunter and seen Seregios,
Yes,
it's like
but
that.
also,
Yeah.
this is a bird made of roses. That's
I
weird.
like this one a lot. But
Yeah.
I also am a sucker for rose designs, so...
No, I mean, I think this one is good, especially, like I said, I think it's better blown up so that you can actually see it has a face, so it like, centers it a little. It's definitely very esoteric.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No,
Like,
this one's weird,
I don't know
but-
how they decided to pick the name Windrose and just be like, it's a bird that's also a rose.
This
It's
feels
fly.
like they drew the thing and then they came up with the name. I'm gonna call my shot on that one.
Yeah.
What do we
So-
call this thing? Fucking Windrose.
Yeah. And hey, guess what? Much like Phosphorage, this one has a good effect, especially for the time period, because this was this was
Yes.
2013 Lords.
Yes.
Windrose is a winged beast, has all the same stats, you know, and the same effect. Requires wind monsters. When it's special summoned, destroy all spell traps your opponent controls. It's Feather Duster, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, Windrose has basically Pyrorex's same issue, but even worse.
True.
Like, there are no good wind decks.
That
I
said,
believe-
if you can pull it off, like I think I was begging
David
around for this.
played this in his win decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was begging around for this for Harpies at one point. Not that you,
Well,
not that
there's
necessarily
one-
you need to do that in this context, because like you can search Feather Duster in Harpy. Shocker,
Yeah.
I know, but like
Well-
he's a decent boy.
Rephrasing it to chat, so they don't try and correct me. There is one good wind deck, and it's not even pure wind right now.
Yeah, you're gonna say it's Lyrilisk?
No, Flunderies.
Okay.
Lyrilisk is dead. They killed Lyrilisk with a
Yeah.
fucking shotgun.
They limit one the actual Lyrilisk card because of Bird Up and Lyrilisk Tri
Tri-Brigade.
Brigade stuff. You know, because God forbid we
okay.
actually just ban Revolt. Not that it matters, because Tri Brigade has
know.
been like power crept hard out of the meta.
No, Flunderies is good, but also...
Hey,
the
guess what?
Flunderies
You
monsters
yeah.
are water?
Oh no, Dallas, you forgot the other problem. Flunder don't go to the graveyard.
That's also the other thing.
You cannot summon an Elemental Lord. Flunder is a deck that is designed to. We talked before about how like subcards make you not able to play Yu-Gi-Oh. Flunder is that deck that is designed to play Yu-Gi-Oh in weird circumstances. They don't special
Right.
summon ever, and they don't go to graveyard.
The only deck I can see this maybe working in is Dragoonity, and I mean,
Dragoonity dumps enough guys, but
is not good.
No, they're not. And also you wouldn't use Windrose because Dragoonity have once they get their Ghost from the Past support, like in the structure deck shit. Dragoonity have a big boy synchro for going first and for going second. Like, they're not great, but you have a negate and you have floaters and you have like big OTK tools. Like, you've got a complete package within the archetype. You could run Windrose, but you don't really need to.
This one is similar to Pyro Rex, where I don't see a home for this card.
Yeah, like
It can be useful.
honestly, I feel like any fucking day now, Konami's gonna unlimit Feather Duster. Like,
yeah.
And at that point, it's like, why? Why would you play Windrose? Just actually play Feather Duster. Like, I don't know if they actually will, but they put Raigeki to 3, so I'm just like, I don't know anymore. Also, for love of God, Konami. 1, where's the TCG ban list?
Yeah.
2, if Mystic Mine isn't on it, please unlimit Feather Duster. 3, if Mystic Mine's not on it, why isn't Mystic Mine on it? It's won like 4 tournaments.
If Mystic Mine is on it, if Mystic Mine isn't on it, I'm going back to playing Magic the Gathering.
But Dallas, they're releasing an unset where half the cards will be playable in certain formats.
Omega, this is me. You're just incentivizing
I know.
me to
That
I
sounds
know.
like a good time, though.
I said it to be funny. Though, MBT is a great take. There's some kind of mechanic about attractions where you, like, bring an attraction deck, and, like, he's just like, yo, this is just the extra deck. It's like you can play up to, like, 10 of these attraction cards on the side to work with shit, and it's like, that's hilarious. That's literally the extra deck.
No, it's... Yeah,
I think that might be that
no,
new
seriously,
set
if
mechanic,
Mystic
yeah.
Mine continues to be a part of the meta, I will just play
I will just play something else until it gets better.
I will just play Magic again. I'll just be like, hi, I'm a Magic player again.
I sometimes look at Yu-Gi-Oh, but they're fucking it up still.
Look, Magic does not have a single Floodgate card. Well, that's not true. All of the Floodgate
One that
cards
you
in
can do
Magic
immediately, though.
are
It's not-
actively bad. Because there's no one-sided... one-sided Floodgates do not exist. Ever. Unless it's for attacking, but I don't really count that. But there's no... The Mystic Mind equivalent is Winter Orb, which, if you play that against people, they usually punch you in the dick. Which is the
face.
appropriate response to Mystic Mind players.
Except when it's literally 80% of the people at the tournament are Mystic Mind
Then you
players.
punch 80%
Well, no,
of
it's
the
not.
people in
It's
the
not
dick.
80% though.
You underestimate my ability to dick punch.
Also, Axe grossly overestimates how many Mystic Mind players there are.
I mean, I felt
There's
like...
not that many actually.
Oh, okay.
Like the percentage
they
of
just
Brazil
keep
was there was one Mystic Mind burn deck. It just kicked everybody's ass. Like
Okay.
that's why we want Mystic Mind to be banned. It's not a good deck. It's not a different deck.
It just wins.
It's just if you do not side and actually get your hard outs, you lose.
I think of the Crimson song. Just search your non-searchable out. I don't want to
it's
play
one
the
of the-
card. I want to actually play a deck that's fun. God damn
It's
it!
one of the things is like, I think, and this
That's
might
not
be a
responsible.
hot take considering some people, but I still agree with that. I think Mystic Mine is a worse card for a format than Max C. Because at least with Max C, that usually means the game's over on turn 1, and I could just go home.
Well,
away.
yeah, no. Maxi is an awful, terrible card. Hardleg made an 8-minute video yelling about how Maxi is bad because people were like, "But Hardleg, why? Just play around it." Like, because he complained about it in Master Duel still not being
But
banned.
card draw is the only.
Because
I
Master
agree
Duel,
it
by the way,
wasn't
Master
bad.
Duel got 2 fucking ban lists in like 1 month, and the TCG still doesn't have a ban list.
I'll
but,
say this.
like-
I agree with Max C being bad. I just think cards like mine are worse.
Yes, no. Mine is a way shittier card because once mine is on the board, you have to do something about it to turn it off. Because, like, theoretically, mine turns itself off if you ever somehow manage to have 0 monsters on your board. How the fuck would you do that? Once you put a monster on the
Without
board and you
activating
can't
effects.
activate monster effects, how do you get your monsters off the board? So
yeah,
it just
this-
stays.
This
Like-
is the other thing. Like, technically, Magic the Gathering has an equivalent card to Mystic Mine.
Do we have one left?
No, the winner
But,
is it.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
We could-
You
Just
know
under
how
2
easy
hours,
it is
so.
to get monsters off your own board in Magic the Gathering?
Very easy.
There are so many cards that are just sacrifice target permanent.
Yeah.
Or even just no cards.
Well, and
yeah, that's
Magic
true.
is interesting because its targeting feels like it's just like the way targeting works in Magic is way more loose. Like it's just is there a creature? Blow it up. Target something? Do damage. Like there's the way Magic is configured fundamentally is like different from how Yu-Gi-Oh is almost Yu-Gi-Oh is very rigidly structured, you know, with
Magic
so many
has
zones.
A lot of.
It's also because it's a resource-based card game instead of just a card advantage.
Well, yeah, so they can print cards that do like more bullshit effects, arguably, than Yu-Gi-Oh, because they're more expensive. Like, there's a card that's literally take 3 extra turns.
I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh does have those cards. The problem is that they're bad because the cost in pure advantage is usually too shitty. Like,
wait, what's the card in Magic? Oh god, it's always been my favorite card because it's just the most ludicrous card ever. Oh god.
Come on.
Oh yeah, you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. By the way, spells means cards.
Yeah, all cards are spells.
It's called Omniscience.
Neat. But yeah,
it costs,
no, like
10 mana.
Magic has a different setup, and I think like maybe some of the reason why Yu-Gi-Oh has some of those like control-y tools is because like the structure of the board is more rigid. Like no matter what happens in Yu-Gi-Oh, there is a hard cap to the number of monsters you can have. You will never have more monsters than the monster cap because of the way the game works. So
you can't just end up with infinite amount of monsters to do infinite amount of damage.
You can't have 525,600 tokens.
Yeah, so like there's some interesting.
That is my go-to number when I hit the infinity threshold.
There's an interesting difference in the design there, but yeah, like I don't know why Konami is waiting on the TCG ban list. Maybe they want to sell more tins. Like they're worried about that. I don't know.
I wish there was more. I wish the tins were smaller, as in like the boxes for the tins.
But you need to stack them. They need like Axe. They're well, you wouldn't remember. You were barely alive when the anime came out. But no, like the current tins are this shape because they are literally aping the tablet from the anime and manga. Like they actually have like all the detail. Which reminds me, I do need to order me a tin.
I guess they could put one more card back in there because it's just like there's a lot of dead space in there.
I mean, there is a lot of dead space. The cards are aesthetically the outside of the card. I mean, if you don't like them, do what everybody does who buys a case of tins. Fucking throw them away.
Fair enough.
But like the tins are designed the way they are for nostalgia marketing, which Konami has straight up said is a big deal for them. Like, there is a magazine interview, I think it was a couple of years ago now, where Konami talked about, like, the actual, like, Konami of America TCG department talked about how they were experiencing a resurgence of sales, and this was technically pre-pandemic, because old school Yu-Gi-Oh was on Netflix, right? So, like, they understand that part of their market share is due to people who are like, I remember this from a kid. Oh, I remember this thing from when I was a kid. Like, people who want that nostalgia collectible feel. So the tins don't have to be that size, but they are that size because they are trying to achieve a specific effect for marketing purposes. I don't know what they're going to do next week.
This is the most misleading statement ever. Sorry, in one form or another, Obelisk the Tormentor and Wind Dragon Ra have both seen play in competitive decks. Now, with Obelisk, that is technically true because with Wind Dragon Ra, it's not even true because it's Sphere mode.
Well, yes. A card that contains Winged Dragon of Ra in its name has seen play in tournament-winning decks.
A Winged Dragon of Ra card has seen competitive play.
But it is not the Winged Dragon of Ra. It is Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode.
To be fair, I can't deny the Obelisk one. That one literally was the win con of a tournament-winning deck.
Yes. And honestly, in formats past, people have peppered Obelisk as just, hey, if I have 3 monsters on the board, I can just make a guy and win the fucking game.
I make a bunch of fucking tokens.
Which we might see later as well, because he's getting Spell Trap support with the tins as well. We'll see, because the tins are actually out. We'll see if anybody goes to any tournaments and actually tries the Slifer branded line.
I am definitely going to try that.
Because it's fun.
Not at a tournament, but that deck is hilarious.
Yeah. We'll see if some Chad can get it in there. But, all right. My throat's a little dry. We've been going for 2 hours. We managed to make a 2-hour show. We hope you guys have enjoyed. I've been seeing you guys chilling along. What's the next solo modo? Is it Ruin and Demise?
I think it's Ruin and Demise. Oh, God.
That was more interesting.
That's going to be
Also, it's kind of shorter, isn't it? It's like, how many cards is that? Like,
I'm pretty sure
No,
it's
the
longer
next
than
level
Element
was-
Saber.
Yeah.
6 monsters.
3 rituals, a field spell. And here's the thing. Most of the spell traps are worth talking about because they're, like, weird.
Yeah, and 6 monsters. 3 of them being different versions of the one thing.
Yeah. There's the small, medium, and large version of both Armageddon and Ruin.
Yes.
You know.
But dear God, Konami, please release a ban list, and please ban Mystic Mine.
Yeah. They haven't even printed it in like years. There's no reason to. It does nothing.
Like,
I know some people have argued like, oh, but Runic Mystic Mine is the thing now. Yeah, and people will be huffing copium on Runic.
Just print an in-archetype Mystic Mine for Runic.
Yeah, they also don't really need to because their Runic's field spell on its own is pretty cracked. Like,
or just fuck Runic.
Also, here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. People are still gonna play Runic because copium mill decks. Like, people want mill to be good.
Spite is still. I'll be very brutally honest.
Because
Runic
someone's
Spite
level
is
2.
still a good deck without.
Yeah, Runic Spite doesn't need
Mine.
Mystic Mine.
So.
I'm gonna go now.
I mean, Runic
Yeah,
is the
we're-
best
we're-
deck out of
we're
that.
wrapping
Whatchamacallit pack. Not that that's saying a lot. That one
I
has
don't.
not done anything, Omega.
But it could do things. Runic on its pure Runic's not doing anything either, buddy.
I mean, Runic has placed highly in the OCG.
So has Lab.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
there's some. I have seen people
Like,
playing Lab
highly
in top
or,
cuts.
Or there.
I mean, I guess I don't actually know if it's like they're
Well, no, if it's
winning
in
per
top
se.
cut, that's
But yeah,
enough.
they're like making it to top cut boards. I have seen some Labyrinth decks.
Okay. Alright. I'm not actually
I
that
think
surprised.
some of that was technically before the Sprite tier shift because remember the sets came out in different orders. But yeah. By the way, Axe has literally left us and Loth is muted, but that's okay. My throat is dry, so like I said, keep your eyes out for when they eventually decide to give us, us actual paying customers to Master Duel. Not just however many 100 people could make it to TGS. That Vendread solo, because that'll be fun. We don't need to do that Fable Tro, because we already did. So check that out. I'm interested to see, because Vendread and, like, zombie stuff is really good for hybrid decks. I wonder what ones they're going to bust out. I hope they do some fun ones and not some schlocky ones.
Since Vendread is a zombie ritual, could go into a lot of things, actually.
Yeah. You can run, like, Vendread Eldritch. You can run, just Zambo World, Balderrock stuff.
Yeah, Vendread Zombie World is the most popular.
You could run, probably try and run, like,
Octopath Traveler 2 is a game.
Yeah, Dallas is just... Dallas... I mean, you should probably skip the first 3 hours because that's just us talking about Cyberpunk and Edge Runners, but, like, we literally go through the entire direct and like, what's up. Like, there's all kinds of stuff here. But
I don't
anyway.
think I care about literally anything else, I'm going to be honest.
Anyway,
That's
you
fair.
guys have a lovely day.
Oh, wait, no, Bayonetta 3. Did they finally confirm a release date, or is it just a trailer?
No, they confirmed a release date. It's October something.
Oh, Jesus. Wow, that's
It's soon,
sooner than I
yeah.
thought.
It's fast. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I'm very sleepy. I'm dry. Dallas
I'm
can
gonna go as well.
discover video games. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And go watch What's Up, and also go watch the Mega Man X2 stream yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.